Just shut them all in.
Right. Okay, guys and girls. Hopefully we should be back. I'm just going to talk some shit and nonsense for a couple of seconds while I wait for the stream to reappear in my browser to know that we are live again and all is good. Da-de-da-de-da. I can see a Reg. I can see us. Cool. Right. We should be back. If anyone can just quickly say hello in the chat, we are back. Something can see clearly. Excellent. Good stuff. So, yeah, guys and girls, it is the moment you have all been waiting for. After badgering him for a long time, I am delighted we have finally got our man to have a natter with us on the stream. Welcome, RegiTime, aka Paul Regan, known on Sky as the Don, known from my stream chat as the greatest comedian who's ever appeared on Twitch, and also goes by the name of Timer Reg. Welcome, sir. Thank you for being here.
You set me up like a con man there. Got about 20 fucking names. It's like face man on the A team. How many fucking more names do I want to have? Good to be here though, sir. Looking forward to it.
I'm like I said, I'm genuinely dead chuffed to have you here, and I needed to make sure I got all of the names in there so that I can reach to all the communities from where you're known. So. People who've only ever come across you on Sky will just think of you as the Don. I first found you on YouTube, so you're always going to be RegiTime in my mind, amongst your many other names. So, yeah, first off, thank you so much for being here. So for those who are wondering, who is this geezer? Let's do a very quick bit first off of who is Reg. My previous podcasts have been well-known MTT beasts from the Sky streets. So we normally have a bit of kind of graph porn at this stage. But Reg here has been he's a cash game specialist over many years. But he's also quite a prolific YouTuber. Been producing content on there for years under his RegiTime moniker. He's been a coach for microgrinder.com. Is that correct?
And, what was the other fucking one called? There was another one. I can't remember what it's called now. It's not there anymore. Yeah, but another one, an American one. I can't remember.
Okay.
What the fuck was it? No, I don't know.
Was it Drag the Bar?
That was first, actually. Was it Grinder School? Was that what it was called?
No, I don't know. I was just asking, was it Drag the Bar, maybe?
No. I think it was Grinder School. It was like an American thing. They just paid cheap coaches shit money to make shit videos for them, really. And I fit the bill nicely. It was all right.
Love it. So he's got that on his CV. Obviously, he had his own. I think it's on the download at the moment. We're going to come back to loads of this during the stream, mate. But he also had his own RegiTime Poker School where he did direct coaching with people.
That's a porn site. That's a porn site now, I believe. So it's probably better. Was.
Well, I did wonder because I clicked. I think you still had a link to that on your YouTube sort of homepage, and I remember a while back clicking a link and just seeing something all in Chinese. So it looks like the RegiTime school itself is closed. But what else?
It's closed for business.
Reg also runs a microstakes poker group on Facebook, which I know gets a lot of traffic, and he also works with getting people into games on some of the app sites as well, which I will also be delving into much more about because it's something I want to know about at the very least. So, but suffice to say, this man has been in and around the online poker world for longer than I can possibly fathom.
Emotional.
And wow. All right.
Thank you, Waller. Very much appreciated, sir.
I was going to say, and also I was going to come on to the charity element in a second. Final thing then, we always get a graph with everyone. So Reggie has played very, very little MTT stuff over the course of his career, at least to my knowledge. We'll find out more. But I have at least pulled up his Sky Shark scope for us all to have a quick ooh at. So if I press my right button over here, and if we have a little look, there we go. So in something like a decade, he's played 425 tournaments, prolific, to say the least. But, 64% ROI. Nice little graph. He's had a bit of a downswing since the poor bastard started watching me stream. So don't follow what I do on tournaments. But he has at least played some tournaments, and he's got a bit of form there as well. So there we go. There's one little bit of RegiTime graph porn for you guys. I will eventually stop talking and let our man have a word. But coming back to Waller and the donation there, as it says in the title, as I've got Nightbot spamming in the chat every half an hour or so, and if you do ! Charity, the thing that finally got Reggie to come on here is that I was mentioning this about half an hour back, but he's trying to raise some money for a disabled kids charity local to him, and
Thank you.
anyone who wants to donate, as Max Alley has also just done.
So much.
Thank you.
If anyone wants to donate tonight, it's going to go to a very good cause. Reg, tell us a bit more about the charity.
Well, the overall charity is called Leonard Cheshire. If people want to go and take a look at that, this is like a group of that. They run a children's youth group for children with physical disabilities, learning disabilities, autism spectrum conditions, that sort of thing, out of a community centre on an island close to me. It's run entirely by volunteers. I think the group leader it's his job, but everyone else is volunteers. It's fantastic. I've donated to them before. This is going to be the biggest one yet. And the first time I donated, it made me feel really good to do it. The appreciation that came back was fantastic. They made me make a speech, which I didn't want to do. Actually got a genuine lump in my throat, almost started crying, started filling up, total fucking wimp for some cunt who's 18 stone and looked like an EDL fucking marcher. Yeah, I almost went. I literally almost went. And so they've had a shit year, these kids, they've not been in school. They haven't had the groups where they do most of the socialising. They've just been cooped up at home. And maybe they don't have these thought processes, but it feels to me like society's kind of forgot about them. And I just want to let them know that we haven't. And if they can't have a really good Christmas party, hopefully they can all have an extra present under the tree that they can open Christmas Day, and just let people know that we are thinking of them, even though at the minute maybe they aren't top of the list of priorities of things that need to be sorted, So, just hopefully you can do something nice, basically. And we've already raised £1,300 before tonight, so I think we're on course for way exceeding what I'd hoped to raise. So that's really, really pleasing.
Fantastic. Special shout out as well. I don't know if Reg was watching at the time. I did send him a quick message because I knew he was out but due back. Reg, we also had 100 quid donated from Blair Reed or BM Reed.
Yeah, so believe. Thank you ever so much. That is unbelievably generous. And man, I'm going to say thank you all night. It's hard to make it sound sincere, but it really is. It's genuinely appreciated. The more times you say it, the less feeling you put in it. But it's brilliant. And thank you ever so much.
Yeah, and we just had another fiver come in there from Terrier Joe as well. Guys, thank you. We're not going to be spamming you and being in your face about, give us your fucking money for the rest of the evening, but that's the main thing that that's the thing that's finally got Reggie to pluck up the courage and stick himself at least 25% on my screen. Already you guys have blown me away. I'm also going to be making a contribution, and anyone else who wants to throughout the course of the evening, please do. There'll be links going through in the chat or the donation button just a little further down the screen. Like I say, it goes through my channel, but anything that comes in tonight is going 100% towards the group that Reggie was just talking about. So, thank you all already so far for what you've done, and thanks in advance. You will get a special shout out anyone else who donates thereafter. So let's find out a bit more about Reg, shall we? I think what I'm going to do tonight is, as I've kind of done with the other guys. They're all poker players I have on. Everyone who watches me is a poker player, and I like to get to know more about the history of these people, where they are now, how they got to where they are. So, Reg, let's go all the way back, mate. Poker. When did that first happen?
Poker? what year did Moneymaker win? Because that was the year I started, like a lot
That
of
was-
people, I guess.
That was 03 Moneymaker.
Oh,
one.
03. Well, that's it. And I wasn't really. I was
Same
a
year I
gambler.
first played.
I was into like playing brag in the pub, stuff like that. I was a gambler, shit at it, but who isn't? And I just started playing poker online on 888 because they just gave money away like it was like nothing. And every time you just created a new account, didn't even need an email address, they'd stick you 20 quid. I'd blow it in sit and goes, and create another account and fucking blow it again. And that went on for a while. Didn't really take it seriously. And then it just grew from there, really. Yeah, just joined a poker forum back in the day called Eat My Stack. It was a UK forum. Some good players on there. Realised it was possible to actually win at gambling, which I'd never done in fucking 15 years previously. And then, just started learning from players better than me. Then, got a Deuces Crack subscription, all them sort of things, and gradually got better and better. Thank you very much, Carnage. Very much appreciated, sir. Yeah, and it just
Big
got
shout
better.
out, Carnage. Thank you.
Yeah, and I probably didn't start making, and then I don't think I've had a losing year since then. And without being a big-headed cunt, I've had very few losing months because I make it my mission to find some of the worst players imaginable and just wait for them to make mistakes. And that's basically been my MO for 15 years, and it still works almost as good today as it did back in then.
Fantastic. So going back 15 years ago, when you stopped being a donating whale yourself and paid a bit of attention and started to be profitable, was it cash games from the word go, or were you grinding other formats first and then moved over to cash games?
Sit and goes first and foremost, and did okay with them, not special. Then I started playing MTTs on iPoker, PokerStars. My first big win was in 2007, I think. Won $3,000. Used to have a brilliant. You'd have loved it. It was a tournament on PokerStars, $10 on Saturday and Sunday evenings, half-hour blinds, 5,000 starting chips, started booking 250 big steep, something like that. I won that for 3,000. Took it all off because I didn't trust myself with it, and then started thinking, well, I'll play cash to supplement my MTT swings, and then gradually just morphed into cash really from there. Realised that MTTs were high variance. I didn't really have enough time to put the volume in they need to put in, so I just played cash and then just played the occasional MTT as and when it took my fancy. Mostly like deep stack, slow structure ones. Virgin used to have a really good one on a Wednesday night, €20. I won that 2 weeks in a row for, I think it was 1,200 twice. So yeah, it was just basically any tournament where you could be a nit and not be punished. That was what I used to go looking for.
Fantastic. Reg, I've got to pause you there. 2 more shout-outs already. Boxter coming in with a £5 donation. Thank you ever so much. And Enut Sky coming in with the 20 quid.
Yes, thank you very much, gentlemen or ladies, wherever you are.
I believe I'm familiar with both. They're both gentlemen.
But do we know though? Are you assuming their gender?
I have met one of them. I didn't get him to give it the full cough test. I didn't have a full fumble down below, but he did look very, very manly indeed. And a boxer I'm at least familiar with from the Sky Poker Forum who certainly comes across as a chap.
So you are assuming their gender then, just so we're clear. Yeah.
I am, yes, like the terrible fascist bastard I am, or whatever you're probably going to call me later in the evening. Yes, I'm not being sympathetic to people's rights to identify however they so choose and not be forced into assumptions and pigeonholes and stuff like that. Anyway, you shit stirrer.
Oh, aye.
So, So you graduate over into cash games, and was it? How did you? I mean, you've mentioned this forum. Basically, how did you actually get better? What did you learn? Beyond the forum, were there books as well? Shout out to Loose Camel for the $5. Thank you, mate.
Yes, thank you, sir. I guess I just realised at some point, fuck me, people who can't really use grammar very well are making money at this game, so there must be money to be made. I saw people who didn't understand that like an apostrophe is a straight down one and not the fucking angly one, and where the S was like 50 fucking yards from the last letter. People who didn't know how full stops and paragraphs work, they were all making money, and I thought, well, if these thick cunts can do it, then you and I've got a chance. So then I got a Deuces Crack subscription, And my wife didn't want me to get one, and I bought Hold'em Manager for the first time. And we didn't have a pot to piss in at the time. We were very hand to mouth. And she wasn't a big fan of me spending $80 on the first Hold'em Manager or $21 a month on Deuces Crack. Something I still remind her to this day, $200,000 down the line that, as usual, very fortunate not to fucking listen to her and get dragged down with her negativity. And just went from there. Probably the best video series I ever watched was the Coaching Tree on Deuces Cracked. It was just so good at explaining how to beat bad players and how to win at poker. That Beluga Whale, he was my all-time hero for a long time. Anything he put out, I watched. Probably loved him even more than you, to be fair. And you're pretty special sometimes, aren't you?
I must say, I never watched any of those particular bits. Sky Fender coming in with the 10 squid. Shout out to you as well, guys. Thank you so much. I mean, back in those days, I was never on Deuces Cracked. I never watched any of the Beluga Whale stuff because I was still a proper button mashing fish back then. I started about the same time as you, but I spent probably 10 years. I spent 03 to 2013. It's just a bit of a whale, frankly. Well done me, Mr. Gold Rush. Drud as well with the tenor. So yeah, I'm familiar with the name Beluga Whale, but never content that I actually watched. And was it really simple stuff back then? Was it basically just knit the fuck up and go for value? Was that basically it?
Essentially, the Coaching Tree was brilliant because it had a low stakes player who was also a coach. He was giving his low stakes perspective on how to beat these games, and then Beluga Whale gave a more higher stakes perspective on the same thing, and it worked really well. It was you're learning two different ways at once. He's well, when you're doing this in these games, that's fine, but you need to think about this also. And it was just really good the way they did it. He was just so good at teaching. He didn't always have the best results. He took games on he shouldn't have taken on. He didn't always live by his own example, but he was just a fantastic teacher. And I think that's half the battle, isn't it? Just knowing the kind of mistakes people are making and then giving them the simplest of fixes to them, which is kind of what I did when I was coaching. I didn't do anything special. I just understood the mistakes people made and tried to give them the most easiest to apply patch to fix it, to get them ready to then move on to a proper coach who could actually teach them more advanced stuff. And
as the years went by, the game evolved a bit. More people got better. Obviously, you're preaching to the converted with me. Game selection is key. Whales are always going to be donating. But did your study evolve? Did you move on from that into other content, or did you just take that as the basis and then figure it out yourself as you went along?
I wouldn't say I've really studied poker now for a long time. I watch certain things. I like that guy No Limit Gaming on YouTube, the German guy. He does the Zoom videos. I like him.
Goose Call.
That's the one, yeah. I like watching him. I need to be, if I'm watching training content, I need to enjoy the person delivering it. I try watching some of the other stuff, is it Ben Seaby and a couple of others, and no doubt they are fucking geniuses, but they bore me more than my fucking wife does. It's fucking awful. I'd rather talk to her about curtains for half an hour than watch 5 minutes of them cunts. I just can't do it. It's fucking dull as shit. I don't like the way poker's taught now. I don't think it appeals to recreational players. I think it makes them turn off. I think it appeals to nerds, virgins, and that's about it really. Or nerd virgins. And those guys are going to go and make a lot of money, but they might not see a nipple till they're 35, and I think that's not ideal, is it? It's not really what you want.
You see, that's why I missed out on the poker rush myself. I was fully 2003, although I dabbled, for that decade, I was still all about the nipples. I was fully concentrating on nipples. Slight hint of regret. I would have rather have got better at poker then and printed some money, but I do know what you mean. It's the game's got seriously complicated in its analysis and scarily nerdy for a newbie looking in from the outside.
Yeah, I just don't like any of it. I don't like the whole, to digress a little bit. I've seen Negrano moaning about Paul quoting to have fucking charts up by his computer and he's playing heads up. If fucking Doug Polk needs a bastard chart to beat Daniel Negrano, then fucking hell, pack it in, mate. I just don't like it. I don't like charts. I don't like real-time assistance. Randomizers I can deal with because that's just a fucking random number generator that rolls high or low. I know you've got one of them because you often talk about it in your personal juice and solver.
Tongue firmly in cheek. Mate, let me pause you just for a second. Quick shout out. The man himself, Magic Matt Bates, coming in with a 20 quid donation.
Thank you ever so much, Matt. Fellow left winger, I think, Matt. I like Matt better than you, to be honest. I think I'm more aligned with him. In terms of poker success and our politics. You're just someone we kind of like, but we don't respect you that much.
I'd just like to say to the audience out there right now, I got a message through Discord from Reg earlier basically saying, don't get me onto fucking politics later. And he can't help himself, can he?
No, I'm off it again. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it because you lose viewers, I'll lose donations, it'll just go tits up. But no, where was I? Yeah, I think it's rubbish. Real time, I mean, it's supposed to be like man against fucking man, isn't it? And just like me putting my knowledge, what have I learned? What have you learned? And who applies it best and who, in any one session, who runs best? Not who's got the fucking most monitors they can have charts on and who can get to the most appropriate chart the quickest and click the button before the time bank runs out. That's not poker. That's why Sky's still so good, I think, because, they don't have HUDs. Well, yeah, they don't officially have HUDs.
In theory.
In theory, in practice, that's wrong. But anyways, never mind. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole with you. Yeah, and I think like when you're on Poker Stars, you have like the 3-minute fucking time banks. You just know when some cunt's in the bank for 2.5 minutes. They're either trying to snipe you or they're rifling through chart after chart after chart for some fucker else to tell them what to do. And then just like, then someone says, oh, he's a good player. No, he fucking isn't. He's just plagiarising something. I could come on here and like read out jokes from 25 years ago that half your viewers wouldn't have heard. And then they say, oh, Reggie's funny. No, I'm just telling fucking Frank Carson's jokes. It's shit. You're not good. If you have to rely on charts and all that shit, you're not good at poker. You're just good at gathering information and fucking using it. It bores my piss up. It really does. That's why I prefer the apps as well, because if half the fuckers are playing on the mobile phones or the tablets or whatever, and they take up so much computer resource, they can't have 8 million other fucking programs running to go with it. So it is more. It just feels like when you look at Poker Stars now, Zoom, you're just playing a load of people who basically don't start playing badly until they tilt because they're just using charts constantly, and it's fucking rubbish. It's not what poker should be in my book.
I concur with you. I would just like to go back a tiny bit and just state for the record, not that I'd be... Hell, I wish it was actually true. I wish I was good enough to need one. I don't actually use a random number generator when I'm playing. I only chuck out that line there just for a bit of like LOL bullshit, and often just to wind up Reg because I know he's watching. It's like, I've rolled high here. I've rolled a 90, so we're going to have to go for the bluff or make the fold or whatever I think my fictitious roll is all about. So just for the record, I don't have a number generator because a bit like you, I haven't studied poker in like far too long. So I kind of just do that. I have some kind of vague idea of, well, I shouldn't have the same action every time with every part of my, with certain parts of my range. But in terms of knowing what the frequencies are and thus having a reason for a number generator, fuck knows.
But nobody knows what the frequencies are. That's the thing. When you listen to them commentating, like Nick Schulman's prime example, someone I got massive respect for. I think he's an excellent commentator, excellent player. But I was watching that heads up duel, and he's like, a bit like Doug Polk, it's okay to do it. It basically says everything's okay at a certain frequency, but when they're commentating live and they don't have all the tools, they never actually say what these frequencies are. So people only know what the frequencies are when they've got something else fucking telling them, and that's what really annoys me. If someone learns all that, commits it to memory, then they're a fucking superb player. But if they've learned 20% of it and the rest of it they have to use a time bank to get, then you're not a fucking superb player. And I don't give a fuck what anyone says. You're almost a cheat, in my opinion, because you're not. It's not your own work. It isn't your own work. You're basically forging fucking other people's masterpieces. It's fucking rubbish.
Yeah, I mean, what you're basically alluding to there is real-time assistance, which has been sort of the hot topic in poker over the last few months, especially with the old Fedor Cruz case coming up. I don't know if you followed any of that at all, but that's very much the kind of stuff that you're really talking about, which is, if you're not aware of it, or if people aren't aware of it, basically what this guy done is he was playing some of the highest stakes available online. Suddenly made this like meteoric rise from like 102 NL, 200 NL, where he was mediocre to shit reg, to suddenly crushing like 10k NL plus. And it appears that basically his system was he had two PCs running at exactly the same time, one with his poker client on, and another one with a massive database of solves worked out in PO Solver. And he had a quick system for basically getting into any spot he needed. So he knew exactly what the so-called GTO frequencies were in almost any spot you could imagine. So, that is absolutely basically real-time assistance and like complete no on terms of service on any poker site. But where do you draw the line, Rich? So, I mean, say for example, I've got a shit memory. Would you say I would be cheating if I had a piece of A4 paper with my raise first in ranges for 6 max, just printed out on them? Just go, just like, I can't remember. Do I open all my suited aces, or do I only start with ace 5 up? I can't remember. Oh no, I do normally go with ace deuce. Yeah, is that? I
think those charts. Yeah, well, kind of, because they're easy to learn. If you can't fucking learn them, you need to get back to infantry school and start with 2 times 2 again, don't you? And fucking work forwards from there. Because anyone who can't remember race first in charts after using them for a week or two, then poker's not going to be for you ever. You're just going to be fucking rubbish at poker, because it really isn't that difficult to fucking learn. So yeah, it's cheating. Anything that I get, you have these tools, you use them to learn to get better. So then you've got that information. But don't have them on your fucking screen when you're playing. I mean, would you pull that out at a fucking casino? Fucking big fuck off scroll and fucking hell, cut off 2 limpers. What am I rating? Of course you wouldn't. You'd look a cunt, and everyone would take the piss out of you, and they wouldn't want to play with you. So anything that, to me, you wouldn't do it in a fucking live scenario, don't do online. But people will, because there's lots of money there to be made and people want to get at it. And is it cheating? Probably not. Is it unethical? Probably. If you asked random fish, would they be, and you made a random fish aware of just what people were using to beat them, they wouldn't deposit another fucking penny. So if they don't know you're doing it and you are doing it, then they're entitled to feel cheated, in my opinion. Whether you are actually cheating or not, I don't know. But if it's not a level playing field and people are unaware of the stuff that's being used against them that would prevent them from depositing if they knew it was being used against them, then it's unethical, at least in my opinion, and it's not something I do.
Fair enough. Any suggestions whatsoever for what could be done to combat that?
No, none. It's gone too far. It's here now, and that's pretty much all there is to it. They try and, I mean, there's bots on some of the clubs I work on. There's a lot of bots on Party Poker. They detect them, they catch them, they get rid of them, then just more come along. No, the cat's out of the bag, I think, isn't it? I'm not entirely sure what you could do. There's probably some things you could do to discourage it. Table caps. I don't know, fucking, you can. I've got lots of ideas, but none of them ever go down well, But I think table caps is a massive one. I wouldn't let people play more than 2 or 3 tables. Back in the day, I don't know if you remember, you probably won't, because you were into poker as much as I was back in like the noughties. But there's a guy called, I don't know what his real name was, but he was called Lyman. He went by the name of Lyman. And
okay, I don't know him.
He told a story once where he was playing on Party Poker, playing 4 tables, and the top man at Party Poker came to his house to see what he was doing because he couldn't believe the volume he was getting, and that encouraged people to move up. Back in the day, if you were playing 4
tabling, he couldn't believe he was 4 tabling,
and they came. The guy, some guy with an Asian name. It's on a podcast somewhere. They actually came to his house in Los Angeles to witness him 4 tabling because they thought he must have been having some assistance because he was getting way more volume than other people, and that's what people did then. They only played like 2, 4, maybe 6 tables, and the best players had to move up to increase their hourly. Yeah. And then slowly but surely, Leatherass, Nanonoko, Poker Stars started speeding the deal up, started making it easier to multi-table, and all of a sudden you didn't need to play 200 NL to make $20 an hour. You could do it at 25 NL, 12 tabling with Supernova. And that's what fucking killed it, giving people the ability to mass table. People getting better at poker, the software getting better, people getting tighter and tighter because the more tables you want, the tighter you play. And it just, Poker Stars ruined the game, in my opinion. Poker Stars and Regs, because Regs asked for everything. Poker Stars fucking gave them everything. And it took them about another 10 years before they started thinking, hang on, you lot are a bunch of cunts here. You're not offering anything at the site. You rape everyone's fucking money. You want all the fucking rate back as well. And that's why I had very little sympathy when they fucked him over with the Supernova Elite, because he'd had it good for fucking year after year after year. And they'd had it better than they deserved to have it. And so I'd be, especially at the lower stakes, if you want to play fucking 1KNL with a bunch of other people who all want a multi-table, great. But at the lower stakes, I'd put table caps in for sure, and I'd force people to move up. And I include myself in that because I made a lot of money from 14 table in 20NL. I wouldn't let you play more than 4 tables of micro stakes. I'd force you to move the fuck up, if you want a job a decent hourly.
Well, in all fairness, that's kind of how that's the way things have gone now. I mean, I know you don't play on PokerStars. In fact, you've self-excluded PokerStars, haven't you? Didn't you get fucked off with it?
I can't go back there till 2024, I think. And I agree with Chicken Melt. They shouldn't have fucked the Supernova lads off after they'd grinded for it all year. They should have done the right thing and then cut it. But I had little sympathy for them because for a long time, those guys just fucking ripped the arse out of the games. They absolutely ripped the arse out. They took all the fucking money and they gave nothing back. And eventually, that's going to come back and bite you on the arse, isn't it?
Yeah, just in case you're not aware of this now, Reg, PokerStars capped at 4 regular cash tables. That's the most you can play at any one go.
Well, that's a good move.
So they've capped it at 4 cash tables. They have over the last couple of years way decreased time banks in cash games. They've now, all but for the very lowest levels, they've got antes in Zoom to up the action levels. Obviously, fuck all rate back has been the case since pretty much Supernova got binned. So the kind of thing, the things you're alluding to, it may well be sort of too little, too late. In fact, I do know Stars have also just added another thing to sort of really fuck off the regs even more, which is even though there was 4 table cap, one of the consequences of that was even at the micro stakes, table selecting got even more fucking militant, because if you've only got a maximum of 4, you want to make sure they're 4 really bloody good ones. So they've just introduced a new waiting list system as well now, where you can't just wait list for a table. You can't go, oh look, there's a massive whale on that table, I'm going to stick my name on the list. To get on, I think what they do is they take everyone who joins waiting lists, they put them on they start another table for them. So they have to play another table whilst they're waiting to get on their target table. So just a kind of forced reg on reg action. So,
but they're not doing that to help fish. They're doing that just to fucking cut regs.
Yeah, no,
they're not doing that for noble intentions. They're just saying, "Fuck you, regs." We want, we don't want, we want to cut your win rates. Because. And to me, I wouldn't. Well, I've had this conversation on Sky before. I've been fucking lynched for it. I'm probably going to get lynched in the chat in a minute. Nah, don't give a fuck, really. I wouldn't give any rewards to regulars. If you're a winning player, you'd get fuck all from me. And every bit of rewards would either go straight back into the losing players' pockets, or it would go into getting poker back on somewhere more mainstream than Twitch, because as good as Lex, Spragiol and people are, they don't drag many new people to it. I want to see Channel 4, Thursday night, I want to see fucking Curly Watts, I want to see fucking Danny Dyer, Kenny Sheringham and fucking Peter Crouch playing poker against 2 entertaining pros, and I want people to go to work next day and just see fucking poker last night. I can't wait to have a go at that when they get in. It's like Wimbledon. Everyone buys a tennis racket and throws the fucker away 2 weeks later. It's the same with poker. The boom was because it was all over the TV. You stopped going on TV. I'd be putting money back in regs' pockets by forcing them to win it, and I'd be putting every penny into losing players and promotion, and the regs wouldn't get a fucking red cent from me. If you didn't like it, fuck off. I don't care. Go and play somewhere else.
Yeah, fair.
I say that to someone who's quite a hypocrite, because I make my living from basically selling rate back. So there you go. So I am a bit of a hypocrite, but that's the games I get people in. They could play without rate back and still win because they're such good games. And the rate backs should be the cherry on a big fat cake. Whereas for most people, the rate back is the fucking cake. And it's I wouldn't be doing it. I'd be fucking regs right off. They wouldn't be getting a fucking penny out of me. Come play, win your money like you're supposed to do, and fuck off. If I went and played in the Grosvenor at fucking Bolton night after night, they might throw me a free pint of lager or a free fucking burger now and again, but they won't give me fucking 35% rate back on top of the fucking money that I was pulling off their tables. But online players, they had it too good too long, and then they all sulk like little fucking babies when somebody gets taken back because they're basically destroying the fucking whole ecosystem.
What about a more middle ground though? Say like Sky. I will say hats off to them compared to most poker sites, I think they're pretty good for their promotions, and there is a mixed bag of promotions. They're more than their fair share of rake races, which I can't fucking stand. So I'm somewhat of a kindred spirit. But say Sky do have a number of promotions where you don't have to play very much at all, and you get a few tickets into a draw. It's like getting a raffle ticket, and some of them are capped really quite low, so that you can be a pretty casual player, you can be an extreme volume grinder, and you've both got the same chance of having your name pulled out of the hat and winning a prize, winning a chunk of dough. Would you be down with something like that, or would you still be no, fuck that system because winning regs are still going to get an even share of that?
No, it's better than just the regs getting all the money. It's definitely better. It's a step in the right direction. But I wouldn't get. I think what skin was it? They don't exist anymore, so maybe it's because the system was shit. But was it On Game? They brought out a system called Essence or something, and the more money you won, the less rate back you got, and the more you lost, the more you got. And regs went fucking potty about it. So maybe regs wouldn't play. I don't know, but I can see where Negrani was coming from with the whole more rake is better. I don't agree with that bit, but I do agree with the sentiment of all the money should go back into the losers' pockets and then force the regs to refight over it, if you will. Whether that's being actually just giving them money to play at the end of the month, right? Booking, I don't know, Duesenberg, you lose on average £200 a month.
Don't tell everyone.
So I was trying to be kind. I mean, I'm presuming it's more, but. And so there's £50 back. Have another go on us, kind of thing. And that's something I do with. I get so much promotional money I can use every month. And first of all, they had like a £500 free roll, and then basically people played the free roll, won the money, and fucking withdrew it, and that was that. Didn't do any good. So again, there's kind of rewarding the better or the luckier players. Now I don't. That $500, I just privately message people and say, look, you've had a shit month. There's $100 back. You can't do it public. You can't say, I've given Duesenberg, Matt Bates, and fucking Lolo 100 quid back each because they've all lost because he was shit. But people appreciate it. You're like, there's some money back. You notice you had a bad month. Have another go on us. And it keeps them coming back. They'll have a go. They'll redeposit. Is it a little bit like giving a heroin addict a fucking free hit? Possibly, but they're going to carry on playing anyway. And it just makes them feel more appreciated. To me, it helps, keeps the games going more. I just think it's a better thing to do. And that's what I do. I wouldn't give a fuck if rate back stopped tomorrow and they put all the money into bad regs pocket, not even bad regs, sorry, losing players' pockets and promotions, and not silly promotions like rate races, which just turn the games to like fucking disease jacks. It needs to be on TV. Channel 4, Channel 5, Sky Sports. Who didn't love the Poker Million? Barely a poker player like Devilfish, Liam Flood, Jimmy White, Helen Chamberlain, some fucker off the telly, and everyone loved it. You went to it the next day, you talked about it. No one goes in work next day. Fuck me, you see Spraggy last night. You got fucking rivered and finished 18th in the 44 Bounty Builder. Who gives a fuck about that? Absolutely no cunt does. They're never going to go to work and talk about it.
I completely agree with you. The thing that really got me into poker was late night poker back in the day, late night Channel 4, started late 90s, and that's what put it on my radar. I remember watching that in the wee small hours in my bedroom as a student, and that that planted that seed, and that's kind of what ultimately got me playing. And you're right, there was something sexy and it was fun, it was characters and it wasn't nerdy. In fact, a little while back I went back and watched the first ever episode of it, and you kind of go, oh my fucking god. Everyone was a fucking whale, weren't they, back then? Even these so-called big boys. But I think the problem you've got is you go back then, entertainment has become so much more diversified now. So, I mean, back then I still didn't even have Sky TV. I had fucking 4 channels on the telly, and that was on one of the 4 of them. But now we've all got streaming services. So if you look at something like I don't know, the average number of people who watch EastEnders these days, 20 years ago it was pulling in 20 million viewers. Now, the BBC's getting a hard one if 8 million people turn up for it. So it's all very well saying put poker back on mainstream telly, but it's going to have nowhere near the reach that it did. Now people have got such a wide array of options to entertain themselves with.
No, agreed. But it'd have a wider reach than fucking nothing does.
No, that's...
I mean, I just think back to I started playing poker in a pool hall. Fucking cliched, I know. I started playing live poker in a pool hall, and everyone then watched it and talked about it. Almost none of those guys play anymore. They still play now, home games live. You still see them playing live in the pub. They'll turn up, they'll play what is effectively a hyper turbo in a pub on a Sunday afternoon. They'll put the 25, 30 quid in. You even think about discussing online poker to them, and they're not interested. They're just like, because there's no characters anymore. I'm not saying that would get all of them back playing, but if it only got 20% of them back playing, it would start to build a better environment than we currently have. I don't think we'll ever have a second boom. I think the only way you get poker back to anything like it was is to knock down all the segregation that's been built up, and that ain't ever happening. I mean, how long has it been since poker was banned in the United States, and they've only got maybe 5 or 6 states back playing now, never mind them integrated back into a world pool. When I was playing on Betfair back in the day, I was playing Spanish, Italian, French players, and they were some of the fucking they made Hazy look like Phil Ivey. They were fucking they were that fucking bad. And then all, one by one they got lobbed off. PokerStars IT, then PokerStars ES, PokerStars FR, and you lost them all, and you ended up playing against a bunch of Eastern Europeans who could play 5-L and live like a fucking doctor.
I know what you mean, mate. Shout out to PKR Par, another 10 quid coming in.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
also with the message, Reg, you're a legend. So
I won't go that far, but very nice of him anyway.
You're completely right about segregation. I almost kind of wonder though if we've actually reached the point where. I personally, in some ways, I would welcome more segregation. One of the things, the biggest thing I love about Sky is the fact that it's UK only, or UK and Ireland. So it is segregated. And it's got some of the best games that I can find anywhere online, excluding the app clubs. I'll come to more about that with you in a bit. But at least in terms of conventional sites, it's the best option for me by far of having some juicy games. And so the segregation has been bad because there are not many wealthy economies left in the rest of the world pool that the UK is part of. Have you ever, a couple of years back, I think it's sort of fairly new, have you ever been on a site called statname.com?
No, afraid
well,
not.
It's it's a bit like I can't remember what name it was. It's basically a sort of a tracking site for cash games. And I discovered this is Russian-based, unsurprisingly, and so they're basically they're data mining the shit out of all the cash games on the major sites. They started it as a free thing. They've now added a subscription level, but you can still look at sort of like get all the results of players from 25 and an L and down, and it's pretty fucking accurate because I looked myself up on there. I know what I've done on sites over a certain period of time, and they've got they're pretty accurate. So I was with great curiosity that I got my nose stuck into this site, and it kind of confirmed what I already knew, but I was flabbergasted at quite the extent of this. So basically I started just like pulling up PokerStars, like nano stakes tables, like 2-L, 5-L, 10-L, and picking like a few random, basically like Russians and Ukrainians, that sort of thing. And you stick them in StatName and you go, fuck me, this cunt has now played 6 million hands of 2-L. They played 10 hands of 5-L, but obviously got a bit scared and didn't like it. So they've played 6 million hands at 2-L, and they've made like 12 grand doing it. And you're like, and it's not just them. It's not just that one. There's fucking tons and tons of players doing it. And it makes like the entry level of poker dull as fuck. Because no one's like splashing around, even though it's pennies, or at least pennies to like, some fun players from the UK. And you've got people who are almost legitimately, probably not now table cats, but who are legitimately making a living, as you've alluded to, at sort of at tiny, tiny stakes. And going through this StatName site, I kind of knew this was going on, but I couldn't believe the extent to which all of these players from these kind of nations are just like are not moving up, even from the lowest of stakes. So I kind of wonder, would more segregation be better? I don't know, if you were king for a day, like make it more sort of equal in terms of the relative value of a dollar. So, you got, I mean, that sounds really harsh, doesn't it? Like segregate the poorer countries to fight against each other versus segregating the wealthier countries. But it does feel like an imbalance to me when you've got someone who can spend all their time studying super hard and making a living at 10-L, and making the game shit, whereas someone in America or the UK or France or where have you can't do the same. It makes it unequal. Do you think more segregation could be better instead?
Well, I don't want to sound all Nigel Farage, but getting fucking half of Eastern Europe off out of poker full stop would be great for all of us because they make a lot of money, like you say. And that's kind of where the table caps come in. I know someone in the chat further up said all people would do would play 2 tables on 5 sites. They might do if it's worth their while, but who the fuck's going to do that at 5 and 10 and L? No fucker is. They're just going to bollocks to it and move up. Yeah, people on the higher limits, they might decide to play multiple sites. It's already happening. When I was working with fucking hell, the one who got dead rich, the one who's a fucking crusher now,
Limitless Victor.
That's the one, Victor. When I was working with Victor, after he finished working with me on Triple Eight, I used to watch him do some sweat sessions with him where he was kind of showing me what to do, and he had Triple Eight party poker because he already had all these sites open anyway. So people are going to do that at higher limits. But is some 10 and L grinder going to have 5 sites open, or is he just going to move up? And I think they're just going to move up. I think 2. I wouldn't even have 2 and L. I'd fuck that off anyway. It's a rake trap. I'd probably start at 10 and L and just have table caps until such a point where if Wizards wanted to battle Wizards for high volume, then let them get on with it. But let the recreational players get more play for their money. Because some guy puts, and I see it on the app clubs, they put $50 on. If it lasts 200 hands, they've done well. And 200 hands on the app clubs takes a lot longer than it takes on PokerStars or Party Poker or wherever they're playing their speed poker. Because that's what people do. They try and get on tables. They can't get on them because, they're full and what have you. So it's fuck it, Zoom's convenient. And they go and play in these Zoom games. They're convinced they'll play tight for 20 minutes, get bored and spunk the money off. I'd do away with speed poker. I'd put table caps in, and I'd make the lower stakes games just somewhere where fish could just battle each other. The cream would rise through it and move up, and the fish could keep battling each other and still be a valid entry point to the game that encouraged them to reload. Because if some guy puts $50 on and makes it last 4 nights, he might have another go. If some guy puts $50 and it lasts 4 hours 3 times in a row, he's just going to do something else with his money. He's just going to go and play Among Us all fucking night instead, like you fuckers have started doing. And stuff like that. There's other ways to spend your money. You've got a certain amount of money where you could spend on fucking beer, drugs, women, whatever you want. And poker isn't going to hold your attention if every time you put that money on, it's a very quick and unsatisfactory affair. It's just not going to last. It's just not going to hold your attention. So you need to make the entry levels entertaining.
I do agree with you. Unfortunately, I think it was Evil Pingu who mentioned, if you put a table cap on, then you just can have more sites open, and that is sadly a thing. So I know that when Stars introduced their 4 table cap, which was a massive reduction, went from 24 down to 4. It's not just Eastern European, but the nit regs who just suck the life out of the game at the lowest stakes, they just added more sites. So Triple Eight had a little bit of an influx there, and I'm a nosy fucker. Sometimes I even found myself reading the Gypsy Team forum, which is like the Russian version of 2+2, and just stick Google Translate on to sort of have a little nose. I've even found myself on the official Triple Eight pit there and that sort of thing, and they're all
you really are a fucking nerd, aren't you? You're the nerdiest. Nerds.
I am. I'm a right sad fuck. I really am. It's not so much nerd. I think I'm a nosy cunt more than anything. That's what it is. And also, I hate cheating. I want to feel like I'm playing on a level playing field. So I was involved with some other players in outing and reporting bots on Triple Eight a few years back, and so I then would find myself hanging around on bot forums to work out right, what the fuck are you doing? How are you doing this? How to try and get right, yeah, there we go. There's a red flag. You're going in the report book, son. That sort of thing. So I perhaps a nerd, more a kind of a paranoid nosy fuck. I'd go with.
I'm the same. I've reported quite a few bots on PP Poker, and they've dealt with them by and large, and they're quite easy to spot. They've got very similar statistics, and then the players that don't have the VIP badges tend to be the bots, and the players with similar statistics with the VIP badges tend not to be bots because they're the ones who are actually looking at player stats and try to play poker, whereas the other ones, they're not. They're just bots that are doing the same things with the same parts of their ranges, and they don't care what their opponent's doing. And they do get rid of them, but then they just try to be some other club or some other union, and it's what can you do? These bots are here. They're not going away, and they'll always find ways. They'll make a load of money. They'll harvest a load of rate back. They'll make maybe 1 or 2 blinds 100 because they're not crushing the games, not by a long way. These bots, they're just able to put volume in without ever tilting, crush the fuck out of the rake back, make a tiny bit of money, get busted, give half that money back, and then just go and play somewhere else till they get busted again, you know. But the problem is now it's creeping into. It never used to be. Back in the day, if you were going to cheat, you'd cheat in the highest stakes game you could afford to play. You wouldn't bother cheating at 4-L. But because these bots are so cheap and so easy to buy now, they are slowly but surely just filtering down into the lower stakes games.
Yeah, but I mean, also with that approach as well, you fly under the radar more. So, you know, if someone's like printing and doing remarkably well at 1K+, the spotlight is more likely to be shone on them. So, like back in the day when I was kind of in a group sort of acting these bots, you know, yes, I will confess we were collating hand histories so we could get a proper view on their stats. But it was, you know, from doing a community service, if you like. But
with all the naughty things, I used to download hound histories from fucking PTR. I'm a cunt for doing it, and I was a cunt back then. But I was a cunt that wanted the extra money. I wouldn't necessarily do it now, maybe because I don't need the money as much. I'm less incentivized to do it. But if I had to cheat to feed my family, I guess we'd all do it, you know. There's like Dobbins in his book. He was approached by many cheats. He never had to do it because he could beat the game. But if it was a choice between cheating and not putting food on the table, who knows? You know, until you're in that situation, none of us can say we'd never do it. I mean, give me a super user account and I'd smash the fuck out of it. I'd try and do it better than Russ Hamilton. And not just like playing 90% of hands. I'd lose where I was supposed to. I'd win where I was supposed to. But, you know, so none of us are angels, and let's not pretend otherwise. But, yeah.
Absolutely. But the only reason I mention that is because I'm just going back to your point about, you know, you talk about bots winning at like 1 or 2 big blind per 100. You know, the kind of bots that I was sort of looking at back then at, say, sort of 30 and 50 an L, that sort of, you know, was my kind of main bread and butter area. There's no doubt there were bots. I won't go into the reasons why, it'd be too fucking boring. But many of them were winning 8, 9 big blind per 100 in those games. Over hundreds of thousands of hands, not just some, you know, statistically irrelevant 20k sample or something like that. So yeah, a bit kind of even at the lower stakes, the bots back then did better than you'd think, and I can only imagine they've improved now.
When I was playing iPoker 2008, 2009, I still remember its name now, it's called Filjig. It's FILHJG, something like that. It played every table. It was remarkably easy to play against if you knew what it was doing. But when you looked on Poker Table Rate, or PTR it was called, it had a graph that would make Matt Bates' eyes bleed. It was just no variance. It was just whoosh all the way up. And that bot must have been reported a million times. I mean, I'm of the opinion that some iPoker skids were running house bots. I suspect that was probably a house bot. And they were there. And you could, once you knew them, you could just min 4-bet them, because if you 4-bet them, they either jammed or folded. So all you did was click it back on the fuckers, and that was it. And you know, once you knew that, they were easy to play against, and they never changed. They always 3-bet to exactly 12 big blinds. They always folded or jammed over a click back. But people that didn't adjust to them, they were printing money from.
Oh, you see, there we go. I've been missing a trick over the last few years, all this time I've been playing on Sky. I thought these min clickbacks I was getting relentlessly on Sky was because everyone was a fucking whale. But it turns out that they're all very clever people, just trying to sort of establish whether I'm a bot and exploit me.
No, anyone clever would realise you are anything but a bot, sir. they definitely malfunctioned on the King Bubble scenario, if that's the fucking case.
How very dare you? How very dare you? Actually, just on the subject of bots, there was one that there was one thing that happened to me at a table once, and I fucking loved it. Very occasionally, bots malfunction, and there was one on 888 called Empty Wallet. And it was like fucking pain in the arse having the table. I knew it was a bot, but anyway, I was on a table with it because it was just like a real juicy table otherwise. Something went wrong with the bot software where it only had one action it could take, which was call. It wouldn't raise, it wouldn't do anything. It suddenly started limping pre, and that was like the immediate alarm bell, like never limped pre. Like, what's going on here? And like very, very, very soon it became apparent that this thing was stuck in some call anything everywhere, all times, and do nothing else mode. So it was brilliant. Fucking like raped the thing for about 10 buy-ins in like 3 orbits or something, because it was calling river jams with 8 high. that sort of thing. It was completely fucked until like the operator had sort of woken up and gone, what the fuck's happening here? And pull the plug out of it. Happy days. Felt like a nice bit of justice when that came in. Anyway, man, we've gone on this big tangent already. So let's go back to a bit more sort of Reggie coming up through the ranks. So what else? You're not a full-time pro now. I certainly know that. But when you got better at the game, there was a point when you did go pro, certainly for a while, wasn't there?
About 3 months, and then it really fucked with me. Yeah, it fucked with my mental health. I got made redundant in 2012, and I decided I never wanted a boss again because I was an ex-union rep. I didn't like bosses to begin with. I've never been good at being told what to do. Still to this day, I don't like being told what to do. I think I know best all the time and what have you. So I said, I'm never going to boss again. And at the time, I was playing 200 full ring in them jackpot games on 888, which were amazing. They were really good games, and I was regularly pulling $2,000 a month off. Sadly, then the exchange rate was only like 60p on the pound, but I was making a living. So yeah, did that for about 3 months, but it was just not a good lifestyle. I was up all night till the wife was getting up for work at like 5:30, 6 o'clock. I was still playing, and I was going to bed 7, 8 o'clock, not going until 4 o'clock. It just didn't suit me. I mean, could I have done it better? Absolutely. And, could have had a better lifestyle, could have done it better. But fundamentally, I'm a lazy bastard, and it suited my laziness. But I wasn't barely going out. I wasn't doing means. The social life dropped off, and it just wasn't good for my mental health. So I thought, well, I better get a job. So I got a job assessing benefits in an office, which I thought that would be nice and cushy. One of the most boring jobs is some of the most boring, fucking anally retentive people I've ever met in my life. I stuck at that for 9 months and then just come back after I got married, had my honeymoon, and said to my wife on the last day of the honeymoon, I'm quitting on Monday. I don't like it. Fortunately, as much as I criticise her, she's very supportive, and she's like, well, you better do something. You can't just go back to doing nothing. And I just got a job as the delivery driver 3 days a week, and I haven't worked full-time since. I've always just worked part-time, supplementing my income with poker, by playing, coaching, now the rate back stuff. And I hope to never work full-time again. I pretty much work for myself these days, do a little bit of relief work for a company. And that's my goal now till retirement, is just, spend as much time as possible just being my own boss. That's where I'm at with that.
I applaud you for doing that. And so now when you're not playing poker, I know you've got some. Basically, you do affiliate marketing, I guess, getting people into app games that you make a few quid out of. But also, you're involved in the care industry in some way. Is that right?
Yeah, well, I did after I stopped working for Asda, because I realised my boss there was a prick as well, and I couldn't be arsed with him. I got a job working for a care company that I actually did almost full time for about maybe 18 months. And the first project I worked in was working with 3 profoundly disabled gentlemen with cerebral palsy. It was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, because you see things that it's difficult to cope with. It's not an easy job. A lot of people think support work's all like I thought it was. Because when I first did it, I was delivering shopping to someone I know, and I was like, what are you doing these days? Because he used to work in the local shipyard. So I'm a support worker now, and he spun it out. Oh, it's brilliant, mate. We go for walks around the park, we go to the cinema, and it sounded like the most joyous job ever. And then I walked in this project for the first time with 3 profoundly disabled gentlemen. I was like, I don't see me getting to feed the ducks anytime soon. And it was really difficult. It really was, and it was challenging. But I wouldn't do anything else now. I really wouldn't. It's so rewarding. These people rely on you to treat them with respect, dignity. I mean, me, I'm a crude fucker. I'm all the thing. But I take my care of it very seriously, and it's really important. You're their family. A lot of these people are in support work in care homes because the family have kind of abandoned them. So you become their family then, and you've got to do the job right. And it's brilliant. I love doing it. I do direct payment work directly with families, which I much prefer, because you don't have a boss doing that. I've got a lot more freedom to do the things that you want to do, rather than stick to support plans that were written 10 years ago that aren't really, they don't fit the person anymore. And I love it. I would do it for nothing, but luckily I get paid a little bit for it. But I always go over my hours, and it's a way of life. It's not a job. It's more of is it a vocation? Would that be the word? I don't know. But I absolutely love it. And I'll be doing that. Even if you could give me £1 million, I'll still be doing it tomorrow because it's just so rewarding doing it. You know, the appreciation you get for doing it, the feeling of self-worth it gives you. When you're a poker player, you're making all your money from gambling and stuff. You don't feel like you're contributing much. But I like you know, I've got a reasonable reputation in them communities, and I like being well thought of in those ways, and I like doing the work. So it's. Yeah, I do that now for nothing, but it's definitely not easy. You know, you see some extraordinary things, you get put in some really challenging situations, and sometimes it's just not a nice job because of the personal care aspect. It's not a pleasant part of the job, but it all needs to be done properly with like love and care and stuff. And it's just a small part of your day. I mean, how many times do you go to the toilet a day? A couple of times. It's 5 minutes. It's nothing, and then the rest of the time you can just hopefully go about your day, adding a bit of quality to people's daily lives, which sometimes add up too much, to be honest. It's a shame.
It sounds fantastic, and I must say, it sounds like a perfect kind of juxtaposition to being a poker player. Because if all you do is make your money playing poker, it's you take. You're in some ways you're kind of exploiting the vulnerable to a certain extent to sort of make your money. So that sounds to me like a glorious way of getting some life balance, doing something that's so fundamentally like plus EV for society and those around you, compared to something that's only very plus EV for you as an individual. So yeah, I like the sound. I think that sounds like a fantastic balance to have. So when did coaching come on your radar? When and how did that start?
Oh God, I've got to try and get the timeline right for this. I can't remember which came first. It could have been microgrind. I think I was like quite active on the 2+2 forums at the time, and Elton Harding, the man who founded Microgrinder, got in touch, asked if I'd like to do some videos, and much as the problems you had getting me to come and do this tonight, he had just as big a problems getting me to even record videos with my voice, because to me, I've got a voice like a fucking, you know, really raspy fucking file. It's a mess. It's northern. It's rough as fucking toast. It's because I used to work in a detergent factory. My attitude to health and safety wasn't great, and now basically I've got no membrane in my nose, hardly none in my throat. That's why I'm like sniffing, coughing a lot, because I basically fucked myself by not wearing PPE. So yeah, I didn't even want to do that at first, but I started doing some stuff with him. Then I think Grinder School got in touch after that, did some stuff with Grinder School, and then people just started approaching me, you know, to say, you know, could you, you know, do some sessions with me and stuff. And it just kind of, I never really set out with the idea of being a coach as such. It just kind of happened when you make content. I didn't think it was that good. I just thought, I'm just doing what I do. I'm just a Nate. You know, explain it to people how it's important. Where do you get your money from? I don't win money from you. When I was playing against Sky against you, I might have beat you in a few pots. You might have beat me in a few pots, but you weren't someone that was there thinking, well, you know, there's 2 bigs an hour or whatever. So basically just get your fundamentals right. Play tight, get good seats, get good tables. Don't get in pissing contests. And I didn't think it was anything that anyone would really want to listen to, but it turned out it was. You know, I got a lot of hate from the community, especially on Reddit, which is fucking hell. That place is toxic. That's like
it's one of the places I've never lurked. So.
It's like Chernobyl with the fucking gloves off. It's awful. It's an absolute awful place. But I got a lot of business from there, and you know. You get a lot of people messaging you saying, yeah, I really like it. They'd never post in the threads because it was just toxic as shit. You know, you're in it, all you can do is beat bad players. All you do, well, yeah, isn't that what everyone else used to do? You know, Dole Brunson didn't fucking drive around the deep wet down the fucking south for 2 decades with a shotgun in the boot to fucking play against fucking Chip Reese. You know, he did it to play some of the biggest morons he could fucking find. And that's what poker always has been, and to me, it always should be. I'm just not into this whole fucking regs versus regs pissing con. You want that? Go and play FIFA. Go and play fucking COD or whatever. You know, just find me the biggest bunch of fucking idiots you can and make it as easy as possible, because that's what poker always was until maybe 7 or 8 years ago when everyone decided to become a fucking samurai instead. And you know, all this honor and fucking what have you, fucking bullshit. Just give me a table full of fucking idiots and give me the fucking easy money, because that's what it was. Even that back when the boom was done, you know, high stakes poker, they didn't fucking play unless they had 3 or 4 wheels at the fucking table. You know, they just didn't do it. I mean, you watch an episode of high stakes poker that didn't have at least fucking 3 or 4 players VPP 50%. The pros wouldn't have turned up. It's only basically once speed poker came along that reg on reg fucking violence was kind of encouraged. All they did was the pros sat together. They didn't collude, but they didn't play back at each other, and they just chopped the fish up. That's all they did. And to me, that's what poker should always be. And it's gone a different way now. And if you play it the old way, you're classed as some sort of fucking dinosaur, this, that, and the other. But I've worked with lots of people. I've seen their databases, people who are the types of people who will say, you are fucking shit at poker, whilst having a negative fucking win rate. They'll tell you you're shit whilst not making money. You know, about 10 L players telling me the shit, telling me how shit I am when I'm playing 5 times higher than them and making fucking 20 times more money. But they're telling me I'm shit because all I do is bum hunt. Yeah, good for you, mate. Fuck off. You know, that's that. You know, most of them don't play anymore. They've all quit. I was being told 10 years ago, you know, this won't work. In 2008, I was told it wouldn't work in 2010. In 2010, I was told it wouldn't work and I'm still doing it now, and people are still telling me it won't work. And once it doesn't work anymore, I'll just find something else to do. I'll just turn into a porn star or something. I'll be fine. Yeah.
Lovely. Shout out to Andrew MD68, another stream regular, coming in with a 10 quid donation.
I didn't notice, but thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much, mate. It says, adds a message as well. You've a good heart, Reg. When are you starting your own stream? Nom nom.
No, I'm not. I'd only stream cash games, and you know, I get bored listening to myself, and it just doesn't work. I used to stream a little bit. I peaked at like 20 viewers one day, and you know, I got a 7/8 chunky. It was fucking marvelous. But no, it's not for me streaming. I wouldn't even do the YouTube stuff now if it wasn't that I wanted to like keep my business going. I'd just be doing what you lot do, just in the Discord, having a chat, having a crack, and you know, cash game poker. It's just not that fun to watch, is it?
No, it doesn't. I think in the stream it doesn't have the narrative that a tournament does. So, you know, you've got a beginning, a middle, and end. You know, cash games, you start, you play, when you've had enough, you stop. That's it. You know, you either won a bit or you didn't. But at the same time, there is a place. I think there should be some cash game content out there, even on Twitch and the like, because there are some nerds that like to watch it, myself included. You know, I'll tune into a bit of that like Ginge poker. I don't know if you've ever seen Ginge. You know, he's an exceptionally good player, and so yeah, I will happily tune into him with my nerd hat on sometimes.
I used to enjoy watching. Was it Komodo Dragon Jesus? I used to enjoy watching him.
Yeah.
Then I stopped because I told him he looked like Phil Lack, and he didn't agree. So that was it. That was me and him finished because you this my lookalikes and we're fucking through. We're over. And he does have he's only a 3 out of 10 Phil Lack, but he just refused to accept it one bit. So yeah, he got that. He can fuck off. Shroom the River, used to watch him. I used to really like watching him. Thank you very much, Anna. That is a tremendous donation. Thank you, sweetheart. I think Anna, is that Timmy Rara's girlfriend? Maybe I'm out of line now. Maybe she's not anymore. But thank you very much anyway, Anna.
A Smith X from the Sky Streets, I believe.
Yes, I think that's Anna.
I think I have a funny feeling you're slightly behind the times on the relationship front there.
Sorry, if that's too soon, I apologise.
There we go. X anyway. Saying in the chat.
X. Sorry, Anna.
Hats off to you, Anna. Thank you ever so much. That is very, very kind indeed. Golly, haven't we done well tonight for the old charity thing?
Yes, it's going better than expected and much appreciated.
Yeah, no,
we haven't had something yet because some fucker buys some. In fact, get 20 quid out of the donations, send something of Vindaloo and 10 cans of Guinness, will you? And then we'll be right. We'll be sorted. We'll get the money back in droves. We'll 10x it. It's a good investment.
I can tell you live up north, mate. He's in Guildford. I used to be down that neck of the woods. You do not get a Vindaloo and 10 Guinnesses for 20 quid, believe me.
Thatcher's Britain, isn't it? Anyways, yeah, crack on. What's next, sir?
Where were we? So right, fair enough. Coaching, so it started from you being approached on 2+2 because you're active there, right?
Yes.
I was thinking, YouTube, when did the YouTube stuff start?
About then, because he first started putting videos on YouTube before he like launched his microgrinder website, and we kind of just did like collaboration videos, I think, if I remember correctly. Then I remember I did my first one on my own. It was fucking awful. I didn't know how to like cut any of the scenes out, so it had 2 tables. It had my back screen on the back of it. I was just chatting down a fucking little hole in the laptop. The audio was awful. The fucking visuals were awful. And it just went from there, and it was dreadful. But it's, you know, it's still on there now. If you go back, it's one of my very first. It's fucking diabolical. But we got a little bit better. I haven't spent a lot on it because I always think I'm gonna stop doing it at some point, but then I never do. I guess I'm a little bit of a narcissist in that way. I think 3 people are interested, so I've got to look after them. Brendan, I'm not sure he's been in the chat yet. Brendan, my absolute Uber fan. I love Brendan. Irish Paddy, I think he goes by on Twitch. He's a very good guy, and people like that, and they appreciate it. They look out for things coming out. So I like doing it for that, even if nothing. I'll probably do it forever, probably just because, like yourself, you probably like the attention a little bit. You wouldn't want to admit it, maybe, but we all do. If you didn't like the attention, you wouldn't be doing it, would you?
Yeah, fuck yeah. I've said many times. I started this as an experiment, really. Thought it might be a one-off. Quite a few people tuned in and said nice things. Stroked my ego, made me feel good about myself. So I thought, fuck it, yeah, why not? Let's just say full-on narcissist. Yeah, tell me I'm good, and I'll keep turning up.
Yeah, you started doing it as a one-off, didn't you? And then now you're doing 4 a month. It's fucking amazing.
That's incredible volume, mate. I'm on again in 2 nights. Incredible stuff. Amazing. Cool. YouTube stuff. I mean, I've been watching your stuff for years. I was one of your fanboys, but a silent lurker. I never really kind of engaged with anyone. I just sort of looked from afar. But did you? Okay, this is something that sort of came up quite recently on the Sky Poker forum as well. In RSPCA 12, who I think was at least lurking very earlier, said he was going to start doing some coaching, and basically some people getting their knickers in a twist about how coaching, also things like video content, will fundamentally make the games worse. It's like pissing in your own beer. And what I will say, just to sort of add some credence to that, is that I played like 10 hands on Sky a decade ago and thought, software shit, I'm going to fuck off and play elsewhere. I only really, the fundamental thing that brought me back to Sky, I was abroad for a couple of years, but I found you on YouTube and I started watching your videos. I knew, every week was a new Sky video of RegiTime going, look how fucking soft these games are. Look how fucking soft these games are. So eventually when I had the opportunity, almost the first thing I did when I came back to the UK, right, fuck it, I'm getting on Sky. And I've had a good time ever since. Do you feel like, has it ever felt counterproductive to you as someone who's a self-confessed hardcore bum hunter to at the same time be doing things to potentially damage the games in which you're playing?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess first of all, if anyone from Sky's watching, you're welcome, because I probably made them a lot of money down the years, I would imagine. I know a lot of players who went to Sky through me. I wouldn't be surprised if they made tens of thousands directly from me driving people there over the years, for sure. If any of them want to give me some money, then that'd be fucking lovely. But I think, like, poker players, we're just like any other cross-section of society. I'm all right, Jack, pull the fucking ladder up, isn't it? If it wasn't for the coaching in the first place, you and I wouldn't, or the content, you and I would be making money now. So it's kind of like, I've got to where I'm making money. Fuck everybody else. Pull that ladder up. And so, yeah, would I prefer it if all these things didn't exist? Yeah, but they do, and they will continue to exist. So there's not really much point railing against them, and people are going to be coaching. I thought RSPCA got way more shit than it deserved from one or two particular individuals. I couldn't be asked getting involved in the chat of it, but I've lived through that for like 4 years on Reddit, of people either questioning your credentials or saying that you're fucking ruining the game, etc. And every one of those people learn poker from someone better than they are. So yeah, there's a big bit of hypocrisy in there, isn't there? And we're all hypocrites, Like I'm saying, I don't want all these bits and bobs of software advice. The only reason I don't want them is because I can't be asked to learn how to use them. If I could be asked to learn how to use them, I'd be massively in favour of them, I guess. So yeah, of course but that's like that with anything, People are always going to be out there training whatever it is, coaching whatever it is, and you're never going to stop it. So, people like Arrogant crying and bitching about him, making a cunt of himself for about fucking 2 weeks solid. Just shows what a shit quality human being he is, really, doesn't it? About as much as anything else.
Oh, shots fired. I love it. Shots fired.
And while we're here, if it's Guna, I know you lurk. You're a nice guy, dude. We used to have loads of fucking bitching, and sometimes it could get pretty fucking toxic. But before I left Sky, it almost felt like we became almost mates. We used to chat about the football a little bit, usually on Saturday morning sessions when we were trying to rape the fuck out of that player whose name I've forgotten again. Him that's all block capitals, and He's absolutely mad as a box of frogs. Begins with a T. We talked about him on Thursday. Oh, I can't remember his fucking name now. From Essex, I think.
Sorry?
I think he's from Essex. I can't remember. But anyways, that's by the by. Yeah, Skinner used to give me tons of shit. And the reason my beef started with him is because a player I was coaching at the time, we were at the table, not together like doing anything, just we happened to be at the same table because it was a good table. Then I left. And then Ace Gooner went on some rant about me when I wasn't there. And I was like, that's a bit fucking sneaky. And normally I didn't give a fuck, but I was like, nah, come on, mate. So then I just made it my mission to call him out in videos and just try and trigger him as much as possible. And the only reason is because like my mate sent me a screenshot where he hadn't said anything that was there. The minute I left, he just went on this like 3 or 4 fucking paragraph tirade of what an absolute cuntbagger was. So that's why the feud with Ace Gooner started, because he didn't have the stones to say it originally at the table. But yeah, I have no beef with him. I've no beef with anybody. To be fair, Mumsy, he sent me a message saying, yeah, we've had beef. To me, it's fucking internet banter, for Christ's sake. Anyone I've had any bicker with online, and I've no issue with meeting at a SPT and buying him a beer and sitting in their company. And if you take the internet too seriously, then you're a prick, and I probably don't want to know you anyway. If you can't put an internet bicker behind you, then just fucking get a fucking grip, for Christ's sake, you know. Just get a grip.
So you and Ace Gooner ended up as frenemies, for want of a better word.
Well, I don't know. He might still fucking hate me, but I liked him in the end. You know, he might still think I'm a cunt, and if he does, then hats off to him. He's probably a good judge of character. But yeah, I've got no beef with him. I'd quite happily sit down, have a pint with him, and just chew the fat about anything and everything, a bit like we are now. I mean, I've no doubt. I don't recall ever abusing you in the chat, but I used to try and needle Regs. What I used to do is if Regs did something good and beat me, I used to try and find a way of saying it was shit, just to try and trigger them a little bit, or needle them, or have them think I thought about something in a different way than I did. So you've probably been on the wrong end of a bit of needle now and again as well, because I'd never bicker with fish. I only bicker with people who I thought were at least as good as me, just to try and just fucking get under the skin. Yeah, just try and like, I don't know what I was trying to achieve. A lot of it probably just a little bit of tilt, a little bit of annoyance, but try and do it in a way that didn't look like I was tilted. You know, if you just like type in chat, "get cancer, you cunt," that's it's not sophisticated, is it? But if you like comment on the way they played a hand and try and get under the skin that way, a lot of it was just tilt management and just being a general trolly prick, basically. But none of it was ever like really seriously meant. Apart from Ouija, he used to get round in my skin, because for someone who plays too many hands and appears on the face of it very shit, that man's took a lot of fucking money off me down the years. A lot of. So he sometimes, when he's 3-bet me or 4-bet me with fucking, I don't know, 7-3 suited, and then like stack me in a fucking one of those like double stack games, quite often he has had a couple of like pretty unpleasant barbs from me. But yeah, again, only because he was doing something that I didn't understand and couldn't compete with. So yeah, I mean, he's a shit player, and presuming he's a loser, but he fucking owned me on a regular basis, and there you go.
I'm very familiar with Ouija, and I've had a lot of long late night sessions with him on my tables.
Yes, me too.
And he's he's a little on the wide and creative side, should we say? But I will say, like, personally, I've chatted with him loads as well. Good guy. He's Glasgow based, and basically he would just give me running commentary on like how much buckfast he's just had. So you know, he'd like say, "Oh, hang on a minute," you know, and he'd step away from the table for like 2 minutes. And I just need to go get more bucky. I'll be back in a second. Played very much like it as well. I know back in the day he used to say that he was like a pro or a semi-pro, like grinding out 200 NL on stars, that sort of thing. But basically, game got tough and he couldn't be fucked to learn how to beat them.
Yeah.
So.
And if that is true, and I don't I believe it probably was true, just goes to show how fucking soft 200 Allen Stars was back in the day, doesn't it? Because no one's going to accuse Ouija of being a good player, but what he is good at is when it stacks are very deep, giving zero fucks and beating the fuck out of little nits like you and I. You know, 100 bigs deep, in position, I could control him. 250 bigs deep, with him having 1 or 2 seats to my left, and he was a fucking living nightmare. He was an absolute living... And that's why I think he won more than... If I looked at my graph versus Ouija long term, I'm losing to him for sure, because in deep stack spots, he fucking smashed me to pieces. Because he just didn't... He gave zero fucks. Zero fucks.
No, I don't know what you mean. I've ended up in like huge levelling wars against him, like calling it all the way down 300 bigs with ace high, that sort of thing. And, and about 50% of the time I'm right. When he turns over his ace 3 offsuit, and then like the other 50% of the time I look like an absolute cunt because he's got top boat.
You should just shout out Shrimpy. Shrimpy's just donated 28.28, so thank you very much, sir.
Absolutely.
Do appreciate it.
Little message in there as well.
I do give Shrimpy a bit of needle for his comedy not being up to scratch, but he seems like a nice guy, and thank you ever so much, sir.
No, absolutely. That's like top marks for Shrimpy. There's a message attached as well. He says, thoroughly enjoying listening to the legend and Juice. Top work, boys. Merry Christmas to the children. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you ever so much.
Hats off to you, Shrimpy. Yeah, mate, many, many thanks. That is fucking awesome of you. You're right. All these donations, they throw me off my tracks. Well, we're having some fun talking about which. I tell you what, this brings me around to a question that I know some people are going to want to know. This might be a slightly dated question for you now, because you don't play on Sky so much anymore. But because cash games are your thing, and let's say over your more recent times on Sky, basically 6 max table. You're sat down. What would be like the nut worst 5 other players to have all sat down on that table with you? So basically, like
from back in my day,
yeah. Who are your top 5 cash rigs in short? Would you say
Cocoa Pops?
Yeah. That's Spoppercock for anyone who's like never worked out it's backwards.
That used to fucking trigger me when you said that. Like, fucking come on, man. It's just impossible to say it. And anyway, yeah, him, Sharkio when he used to play cash.
Yeah.
Shad used to put me in fucking jail a lot. I didn't think he was even that good, but Shad 84. Again, all these players, if they're to my right, I could deal with them. To my left, they crush me. How many is that? 3?
That's 3 we've got so far. So you got 2 more slots if you want to fill them. Is Ace Gooner going in there?
It's no, Gooner's not going in there. No, it's Quadsy would be another one who I thought was really good. And basically, any reg that was decently loose and aggressive. And no, I can't say you because you didn't. You were as nitty as I was. I don't think we really ever battled too much. You could just top of range. We top of range with the occasional bit of spew in there. I would imagine was the limit of our battles. Who else would I say? Oh, there's another one that is a bit like Sharkio, but he ended in EO, but it wasn't Sharkio. Another one who plays tournaments now, Splashes. He used to give me quite a hard time. So yeah, I'd say. The other EO one,
there's Maurizio, was it him?
That's the one, Maurizio, yes. And someone who I managed to get to come across to the apps was Uwe Rosler. He was a good player.
Oh, right, yeah.
But I found him quite difficult. I did enjoy. I poached quite a few Sky guys in mid-term. Probably made the game softer for a lot of you fellas.
Yeah, I mean, I'm quite happy to hang around on Sky still. If basically all Sky regs, if you'd all like to fuck off with Reggie onto the app sites and just leave me to it, that would be fine.
I think I probably got about 5 or 6 across. I think it was and given that they banned me from doing my stuff, which led me to the apps in the first place, So thank you very much to Sky for pushing me into that because it's actually changed my quality of life. And on top of that, I took some of your better customers with me. It was fucking beautiful. It was it was nice.
Yeah, for those that don't know, because I was actually going to sort of come on to this to
I don't want to spam this. Tonight's not about spamming apps, mate. Let's not go too far into it.
Yeah, mate. Like I say, fucking suits me. I still enjoy Sky, so want to take some regs with you? Brilliant. I'm all up for that. It's my stream. Fucking spam away. But what I was going to touch on was So for those that don't know, Reg used to make a load of play and explain kind of videos. Really, him playing the games on Sky, and he got banned from doing so in the end. Ultimately, didn't you? But what happened?
Well, I got an email, and I wasn't even sure if it was like a troll or something at first, just an email basically saying, for want of a better way of putting it, cease and desist making videos. I was like, what, really? And then they had a complaint, and they bullshitted it as well, because he said, because it's clearly bullshit, because now they're letting you, Waller, PKR, a few others stream. And there was somebody streaming after me, some, can't remember his name now, some Scottish guy who was a rap battler, so he was obviously a virgin. Can't remember what it's called now. He was a Scottish guy doing streams about 18 months ago, and he was like big into his rap battling. But I cannot remember. Someone in the chat, right? Remember his name?
Yeah, chat, help us out.
But I can't remember what. But yeah, so people have done it after me, but they basically said because of like the UK gambling regulations, you're showing people's whole cards. You shouldn't be doing it. This, that, and the other. Thank you very much, PKR Par, for the $5. You shouldn't be doing it. So I phoned them up, and they were.
Oh, Reg, I've got to pause you for a second because firstly,
Okay.
Extra shout out to PKR Par for that's his second $5. His message attached is another $5 for wearing clothes, Reg. Very proud. I think you were maybe threatening earlier not to be wearing clothes on this or something, perhaps?
No, I said I couldn't guarantee I wouldn't have dinner medals, but I've done well today. I've not spilled any food on me. I've been a good boy, doing all right with that.
That was it.
I was going to wear a Liverpool shirt to troll you because I know you don't like talking about Liverpool, but given what happened last Sunday, let's just not,
I'm an Aston Villa fan, for anyone wondering. 7-2.
So-
Fucking get in.
Had Liverpool beaten Villa, then I'd have been loud and proud in my 84 replica kit. So yeah, anyway, getting back to Sky, I spoke to them. They pretty much said, no, you can't make any more content. You can't be showing players whole cards and discussing players, player styles, etc. And it's basically because I think a few players had complained that I hadn't been too complimentary about them in chat, and they were probably good customers of Sky. And it's probably easy for Sky just to say, yeah, fuck off, fatty. We don't need the bad publicity, or we don't need the headaches. So rather than having complaints coming in, they just dealt with me and said, off you fuck. And I was like, well, not much you can do about it. You off a fuck, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's what I did.
Yeah, because I remember that at the time, and because at the time JJ Binks, he didn't do a lot in the end, but he was doing a bit of streaming, and he seemed to get the same message at the same time, like stop streaming. That's a bit odd,
Right.
I know that Reggie is a bit a little acid tongued, doesn't hold back if he if he doesn't think much of a certain player, even though often it's a bit of banter. I knew that. But I was surprised when they asked JJ Binks to stop doing any Twitch streams at the same time. So when I started. I can't remember. I think I might have pinged a message across to TK in advance saying, "Look, I'm thinking about doing a stream." Yeah, I did ask. I said, "Is there an official blanket ban? Yeah, is this like just fucking stupid of me to even do one?" And he said, "No, there isn't an official blanket ban." So I thought, "Oh well, I'll do it and see what happens." And
Yeah, it was very much a Reggie ban, and maybe poor JJ was collateral damage in that. I don't know. I mean, I would imagine if I started making videos again now and was nicer, nothing would be said. I would guess. But
Joe
yeah,
Bananas, thank you for the $5, mate. Shout out to you too, aka
I think that triggered
MP33.
it. I was doing a stream. It was actually a streamer was doing one morning, and I'm not even sure if I was streaming on Sky that day. And there was someone back and forth in the chat, and I used a word that you'll never hear me using. I used the word retard about somebody, and then rightly, people who knew I was doing care work jumped on me and said you shouldn't be using that, and they were completely correct to do so.
Yeah.
But I didn't need them telling me, so I just went all in on them and called them out for being a few various things, not retard, but other things. And I knew they were Sky regulars, and I just kind of really ripped into their play style, their ability, this, that, and the other. And I shouldn't have done it. It was very childish of me, but it's done now, and there's no point fucking regretting it. And I suspect I know who the people who were complaining. Two of them have since contacted me to say they know they're on the list of suspects. It wasn't them, but I don't really care anymore. It's gone now. It's finished. It's led me to where I am, and I'm in a decent enough position. So fuck it. It's fine, isn't it? And I don't hold grudges because it's just the internet.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah, fair enough. And yeah, there's kind of part of me is on the back of all that, I'm somewhat expecting to get a similar email at some point in the not too distant future.
No, you won't, because when you troll people and you say this shit, you do it with a smile on your face, and it's not that offensive. I mean, I was fucking horrible sometimes, because I was going out of my way to like really criticize people in the videos. I'd watch them playing, I'd watch them lose a hand, and then I'd go out my way to say how fucking shit they played it. And I was right, I was a prick, and I probably deserved to be banned because you probably shouldn't be acting like that in a grown-up society. I don't think you'll get banned ever. I don't think any of the guys currently streaming Sky will, because I think you bring more to the table than you take away by calling somebody a fucking ruffler now and again. So
Well, I don't know.
I think you're completely fine.
Cuntbag whale comes up quite a lot.
But again, that's just a bit of fun, isn't it? There's no poison. There was malice in what I was doing. I can't deny it. I was a malicious little cunt. And ultimately looking back, I'm not saying I deserve to be banned. I think a tap on the wrist saying, "Come on, mate, behave yourself," would have probably sufficed. But whether I would have behaved myself, I don't know, because like I said, I don't have been told what to do. So maybe I'd have just gone all in on it then and gone out with a blaze of glory. I don't know. I mean, I used to row with Tiki on the Eat My Stack forum. I've called him out for being a fucking, what was it I called him? A fucking shill and this, that and the other. Back in 2009, 2010. Then I actually met him at Dusk Till Dawn. And I was pissed. I was down there for like a mate stag do, because that's what we did back then. We were boring cunts. We went to Dusk Till Dawn. We did go to the strip bar next, but I hope my wife isn't watching this bit, because we did go to the titty bar next door when we got knocked out of everything. And this is how good games were back then. We were playing a £20 sit and go with some random woman stranger. She won a pot. She tried to tip the dealer with a fucking tournament chip. That's how shit. And that's in Dusk Till Dawn, where people only go to play a pot. She's like, no, have it. It's like, no, it's okay. It's not worth it. No, please have it. She was fucking trying to force his fucking tournament chip on him. And I didn't cash that sit and go, so there you go. That's how fucking shit I was. I was pissed. And anyway, I saw him, and I introduced myself to him. I said, I'm Reg from Eat My Stack, and we had a bit of a discussion for a while. He said, do you want to go and chat about this outside? I thought, well, yeah, because I could have you. You know, I'm not a fighting man, but I reckon I'd do TK over on the cobbles.
Car park.
Anyway, we had a chat, and you know, we both pretty much told each other the other one was a bit of a prick, but not in them terms. It was kind of civilly. It was civil, but basically, I don't like you, and I don't like you either. And then we went back in, and that was that. And that was the Sky used to have, who was it? He might have Hale and Pace. Was it fucking Norman Pace, was it?
It was Norman Hale and Gareth Pace, I think.
Well, it was the Norman one. It was the less funny one of the fucking two. And yeah, I recall calling him a few names as well for being shit at poker. But I was very pissed. I have to pay him. He was like, he used to go on the Sky Poker program and try and like telling people what they did wrong on the Sky tables, which wasn't difficult because a lot of people did a lot of stuff wrong. But to me, whatever his fucking name was, Norman Hale, had no business telling anyone they were shit at poker. It's like me calling someone a fat cunt, you know. You've no business telling someone what's wrong with them when you're equally as fucking bad or worse. So yeah, but that was back when I was like maybe in my early 30s. I was still in a full-time job I hated, and I was an angry man. I was a union rep that used to like banging tables and get away with telling people they were cunts. I'm not that man anymore, thankfully. I'm a very different man. But yeah, I've not always been the pleasant, happy-go-lucky chap I am today. I have been a cunt down the years. But yeah, I regret a lot of that. I do. And like TK, you can tell he's like responded to me on the forum now in a lot more amenable way than he did back in the day, you know. Yeah. He accepts I'm a bit of a reformed character. We move on, don't we? I was a dick, I'll accept it, you know. And some people aren't going to let it go. Other people are going to be more grown up about it and move on. And the ones that do, happy days. The ones that don't, well, let me know who you are so I can continue being a dick in return. And we're all happy, aren't we?
I've always, you know, I can't profess to have sort of known you for very long or anything like that, but just from like watching you from afar, I've always liked your honesty. That has always sort of shone through. I love the fact that you generally don't give a shit and will speak your mind, but you're also humble enough to say, yeah, I'm a bit of a dick sometimes. So I commend you for that, so I really do. So you mentioned live poker there, because I was going to ask you. Yeah, poker became part of your income, even full time at one point. Did live poker ever kind of come into that as part of an income stream? Were you tempted to pursue that more? Everyone says live is soft.
No, it's always been recreational because where I live, it's 90 minutes to the nearest casino. I live in the southern tip of Cumbria on the Furness Peninsula. It takes us half an hour just to get to the fucking M6, and then it's another maybe hour down the M6 to either fork off to Bolton or fork off to Blackpool. It's just never been profitable. You can't live that far away from a casino and be plus EV, especially when you're going down to play like £30 tournaments that charge £8 in rake and what have you. But it's always been recreational. I probably made money long term live, but not a lot. And I certainly wouldn't. If I lived somewhere, I always said to my wife, we lived in Blackpool, I'd be two things. I'd be a live pro and divorced. I'd be both of those things because I just got to the casino at like fucking 8 o'clock on a Thursday night, and I'd only come home to basically sleep and change my clothes and go back because those games are ridiculously soft. And I think I could be a live 200 L pro, but yeah, it's just not where I live. It's just not even close to being a thing.
No, fair enough. I mean, likewise, me, I'm an hour away at least from any casinos, and I can never be fucked to go to them.
To give you like a quick fun live story, like when live poker first became a thing around here, the very first tournament I played, it was held in like a nightclub / restaurant type thing that had delusions of grandeur. If you stuck it in London, it'd be a dive that no one could go to. But round here, it was like fucking hell. You almost needed a fucking VIP pass to get in. And they had a £50 no limit hold'em tournament. They started at 8 o'clock, and I think they thought it'd be wrapped up by like fucking closing time or whatever. So it got to like 11:15. There were still 3 tables going, maybe 7 people on each table, and they just said, "Look, we need to wrap this up, guys." And they just took the 2 chip leads of every table and said, "Right, you're the final table. The rest of you, fuck off. You're out." And that's how soft poker was on my way, because we all fucking fell for it. We all swallowed it. No one knew any better back then. So if there was live poker around here, you'd print money, because there isn't a good player around. Without question, I've been the top 3 people in my area of, say, 250,000 people that live within maybe 16 square miles of me, a radius of 16 miles. There won't be many better than me, because I know most of them, and they're all fucking rubbish. But sadly, the games never form. And if there's a cash game formed, people buying for 30 quid, and they just want to make it into a rolling pre-flop thing. There's no real live poker scene around here other than crapshoot documents and then cash games where people just want to, no matter what you put the blinds at, you could set it off, at 1p, 2p. Someone will go 10 quid, 3 people will go all in, and all you could do is sit there and wait for some half decent. It's not a proper game. So yeah, that
sounds like your standard. That sounds like your standard online game, though. Yeah, all I do is sit there nice and snug and wait for something decent.
Yeah, but I mean, these games are off the charts because there's just no post flop. Post flop is not a thing. That occasionally you see a bit of post flop and there'll be like 60 quid in the pot and someone will bet 4 and 3 people will fold, and you're like, fucking hell. So if you could get it going all night and you could get the stacks really deep where you couldn't just blast it all in pre-flop, you'd have some good games, but the cash games never break out until the tournaments are dying, and then the pub shut 2 hours later. So it's just pub poker around here, and there's not a chance you could like play it and hope to make a lot of money, because the games don't run enough.
Oh, yeah. Reg, I need to disappear for a quick tinkle.
Okay.
So you'll have to excuse me for a moment or two, but I'll fire a question at you at the very least, or if you see anything else in the chat you'd rather talk about, I'll be very, very brief. But I'm just going to ask you, I know you've talked about this briefly in some of your videos, PLO.
Yes.
Yeah, I know you're often like nagging me, like play some fucking PLO. I don't know my ass from elbow with that game. Would you ever be a PLO reg? Tell the world about your history at PLO, and I'll be back very soon.
Right, before you go.
Oh yeah.
If you leave your mic on and piss directly into the water, I'll donate an extra £25. But we've got to hear you pissing in the water, kid. You've got to. I want you to do a Waller impression, basically.
Yeah, no, I know you're after. I think my loo.
Go and have your piss.
I think my loo is just a touch too far away, and I'm getting on a bit. I don't have the power in my pee like I used to.
Right, fair dues. I'll answer the PLO question while we're at it.
Right.
You won't be here, so there'll be no follow-ups. But there you go. Who gives a fuck? I'll fill for you. You go.
All right, back very soon.
Right, so PLO. I was talking to another ex-Sky rig that I stole last night about PLO, and the only thing stopping me playing it is really I make money at no limit, and I don't want to give up the money that I make. If I average, say, £600-700 a month profit from playing no limit, it's a lot to sacrifice for a month, 2 months to learn PLO. It's costing me, like, assuming a break even at PLO, it's costing me £1,400-1,500 just to figure out whether I'm going to be a winning player or not. I've had tilt issues in the past. I'm good at them now. No limit, I rarely tilt. Pot limit or my high tilt within 20 minutes a lot of the time, because just the injustice tilt pops in. You'll like repot it. You still get 4 callers. Some cunt will crack your top set with a flush draw with fucking ace, 7, 10, 9 rainbow. And I was like, fuck's sake, this game must be unbeatable. I know it isn't unbeatable, but I think it'd take too much effort for me to get good at it. The thing that would push me to PLO full time is becoming a losing no limit player. Then I will go to pot limit Omaha. But until I become a losing no limit player, I won't be pursuing pot limit Omaha as my next game. But I fully expect at some point in the future it will be my main game, because there will come a point where no limit hold'em's not profitable enough for me anymore, and I need to move on. That or excuse me, 6+, something like that. So yeah, I was basically saying, Juice, that while I'm still making money at no limit, I don't want to sacrifice my monthly winnings in order to take the losses I would have at the start of PLO. If I ever became a losing no limit player, and that day will happen almost certainly, then I would probably go to play PLO, because you'd see them. The games are soft. They're really soft. There's people that are worse than me, but the variance is so high when you're rubbish. Like I could say to the people, I'm going to be repeating myself a little bit now, but you wanted to start the discussion, so it's probably only right you hear it. It's like, I used to have bad tilt issues. I don't anymore in no limit. I do in tournaments. That still triggers me. In pot limit, I get bad injustice tilt. You can't protect your hand in the really soft games. You can put 20 blinds in pre, you still get 3 callers. You're left with an SPR of like 1.2. And I don't know how to play those spots post flop. There's mega high variance. And even I can see the good games. I see the stats. So it's 80 VP per 60 there and 70 there. But I'm not fucking beating the games. So, yeah, of course I would beat them if I put the effort in, because it's impossible not to beat games that are as loose and splashy as that. But at the minute, I'm averaging £600-700 a month profit from no limit. And it's a lot to say, right, I won't play for 2 months. I'm giving up 1,500 quid of like expected profit to try and play a game. Well, who knows? I might even lose, 500 to 1,000. Then I've had a 2,500 swing. I dabble into it now and again. If I log in and the games aren't great on the apps, if I log in at an off-peak time, I'll play them. I'll get excited by them. Then I'll lose, and then I'll run away again. But I think I'd love to learn it. What I'd love to have is a proper PLO study partner who would push me and be like, right, come on, we're both going to do this together. And we're going to be chatting every day. We're going to be sweating each other and just properly get into the PLO grind. I've always done it on my own. It's usually been the sessions start when I'm tilted by no limit. So I'm starting from a position of being a bit pissed off anyway. But if I found someone who was like, come on, we'll do it together. You sweat me, I'll sweat you. We'll share hands. We'll chat about it a lot. So then when you add your low point, you're the guys picking it and vice versa. I could possibly do it, but try to learn PLO just on your own. I think it's a difficult thing. I think we need study groups for that sort of behaviour. Do you want to join me in a study group for PLO?
Oh, fuck that! No way. I mean, because in some ways, I'm surprised that it appeals to you in any way at all, because you're a self-confessed bit of a nit, or a tight player, and that's fine. Yeah, mate, you print money, so and hey, who would I be to criticise you for that play style? So you're fundamentally a tight player, a bit of a nit. You don't like variance. You like as high a win rate as possible, so your game select very well. So you achieve that. Hats off to all those things. PLO is kind of like the antithesis of that in a way, though, because one, you kind of need to loosen up a bit more, and two, equities run so close, even versus Wales, because of so many possible outcomes, that you're going to have a much more sort of varied ride of things along the way. I'm surprised you don't run screaming from the mere notion of PLO.
No, well, here's the thing: you don't. You don't have to play loose in PLO. Okay. I mean, I've got a personal friend who lives near me. He plays PLO, high-low mostly, but he started off playing PLO. And, he's fucking shown me graphs again that are really good. And he's not playing super loose. He's only VPipping like maybe 24%, something like that, because there's so many unplayable hands in PLO, especially from early position where, you have a lot of mediocre holders that look, which like, I don't know, you get like ace, king, queen, I don't know, 8 with one suit or something. You're like, well, I must play that. And then, you go 5 ways to the fucking flop. You flop a top pair with a few backdoors and you have no idea what to do with it. There's a lot of hands that are equally unplayable. They just look better. And I think you could probably get away playing like, I don't know, a 24/18 style PLO with a pretty low 3-bet and probably do well if you have the discipline. You've got to be a super nut peddly, super nitty post flop as well. I think it's a game that actually suits nits. And if I had the same no limit discipline in PLO, I think I'd do a lot better. But I quickly unravel. That's my problem. I'll set off playing tight. Then I see all these fucking stupid hands winning fucking 300 big blind pots. I'm like, oh, I want a piece of that. And next thing, I'm calling a 3-bet with 7-8 fucking 9-4. Just try to spike a straight on some cunt. It's very easy, I find, to get dragged down into the degeneracy of it all. If I could muster that same level of discipline over long sessions, I suspect that's all I would need to beat the games that I see. I wouldn't be a good PLO player, but I'd be good enough. But I just simply don't have the discipline.
Yeah.
To answer Magic's question,
I was about to say,
if I had to put study into something now, it would 100% be PLO. If someone said to me, "Look, you're never going to win at poker again unless you get back on the fucking on the video grind and the training grind," I would put it into PLO than No Limit, because I think there's a higher ceiling in PLO for how much money you can make than No Limit. I'm probably never going to be better than a 50 NL grinder. I'm probably never going to play 100 NL or higher again, I don't think, because I'm just not good enough and I'm not willing to put the work in. But I think I could probably play 200 PLO and beat it if I put the effort in and had the discipline. But it's all, I'd be scared money a little bit, because I am a fucking I've never been, like, my life net worth is highest it's ever been, and I'm more scared money now than I've ever been. And I think it's not so much scared money as like I've managed to create a situation for myself that I'm quite comfortable with, and I don't want to risk losing that. I don't want to like become a losing poker player or whatever. So that probably holds me back a little bit. And that's 100% a mental game leak. I would say fear of failure holds me back as much as anything, I think. But yeah, to answer Matt's question, 100%. If I was forced to study again, it would not be No Limit Hold'em that I would be studying, because every cunt's doing that, and it's just going to get harder and harder and harder. I think you've got to branch out into other games. And then PLO, it's. I thought it'd be bigger than it is by now. I thought that 10 years ago, I thought it was going to take over, but it hasn't gone away either, and the fish fucking love it. So yeah, it would be PLO.
What about MTTs? I know they give you the raging arseache and tilt you silly, as you've said, but I mean, one thing I've sort of mentioned on my streams sort of recently is I'm from the same sort of background as you in terms of poker preferences. I like being a nit in No Limit Hold'em cash games principally, but it. And especially moving on from the things we're talking about, like real-time assistance, that sort of thing, it seems that in tournaments, there's more scope for the longevity of the game, at least in an online sense, which obviously suits you where you're located now. Because when you've got sort of things like bounties thrown in there, various stack sizes, far, far less solvable. So you can't have a chart for every sort of situation, like say, especially with PKO formats. Would that be an avenue you'd look to explore any further and fish love it, even though it may not be your first choice? Would you go down that path to make money?
I would happily grind Sky tournaments every night if the £5 and £10 buy-ins started with the same structure but 3,000 chips. I think the structures are shit, to be honest with you. I think they offer you play for 2 levels, and then all of a sudden, if your stack doesn't improve by level 3, I think you're down to like a 40 or 50 blind stack. Level 4, you're down to 25, 30 blinds. And then, yeah, and I'm a shit player at tournaments, so maybe I'm doing it wrong. But then I find myself just like thinking, fuck, my next hand's going to be for all my chips probably. And I just don't like that. I love the 730 bounty hunter, the £20 one. If every structure was like that, Sky would get a lot of my rate, because I enjoy fucking around in tournaments, but I want a little bit of bang for my buck. I don't want to be registered for a tournament and feel like I'm short stacked 3 levels in when I haven't played a fucking hand. I want to be able to be that little bit more patient than Sky allows you to be. And I get that that's my problem, not Sky's, because there's guys that have adjusted to those structures and they fucking rip it a new ass. Your Melties, your Mats, people like that. So the game's out unbeatable. I just don't enjoy it that way. I like the mega stacks, even though usually it's a shit field. In terms of like there's not a load of juice in it. I just don't like the £5 and £10, 2,000 chips. Crack on, lads. It's the fucking rubbish. Put an extra 1,000 chips. Like them U-Cup structures, they're looking quite nice. I'll probably play a few of them because the structures are looking nicer. But I think and this is why, and maybe it's just me, I don't know, but part of the romance of poker for me at the first thing was still being up at 3 a.m. when you had to work the next day, but I've got a chance of making a 1K score. Now it seems like Sky want to get all the tournaments over by like 11, 12 o'clock. And that's why they have the structures that they do, because they want to seem to make the tournaments only run for maybe 3.5 hours. Whereas, it wouldn't have bothered me. If I registered a tournament at 7:30 and I was lucky enough to final table it at 2 a.m, I would be thinking, fucking hell, I could do with this being over. I couldn't wait to get to work next day and brag to everyone how I was still playing poker at 2 a.m. I won 300 quid or whatever. And I think they don't understand the customers, or maybe I don't understand them. Maybe people do want to finish tournaments at 11 o'clock. But I know that Discord group we're in, that Discord group chat's till like 1, 2, 3 in the morning with enough active people. Some of them who have jobs.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they like underestimate just how quick the punters want the tournaments to be. I think.
I don't know whether to sort of agree with that or not. I mean, firstly, I concur. I would love those structures. I remember that's what always excited me about UCOTS coming around is I'd look at the schedule and go, finally, some structures that aren't complete shit. And likewise, I remember they did one a couple of years ago, which I did quite well out of. But things like the 7 at 7 suddenly started with 3,000 chips and actually had a bit more play in it. And I got more than a quarter chunky for that one, especially as I won one of them. Imagine that. So I'm a kindred spirit in that regard, but at the same time, questioning as to sort of what's actually wanted. I say a tournament you very rarely play, and actually likewise I rarely play it. But Sky has the Midnight Express, £22 bounty hunter. It does start with 3k chips, but it's 5-minute blinds, and it's a real fucking shit show of a tournament. But by the time you've had a chance to have half a beer and a fart, you're kind of looking at 10 big blinds from a starting stack. But it does extraordinarily well with recreational players. The tournament pains me because it's the softest 22 quid tournament I think I've ever seen anywhere. It's just got the most fucking god-awful structure. And likewise, their main and mini events on, say, the Tuesday, in particular, is a good one to highlight because it's not a massive night of the week for people doing shit. Numbers are always way, way better than that than they are on the Monday or on the Wednesday when they have the slower structured ones. So it would appear that the turbo shit is a bigger draw for recreational players, even regardless of time of day, even when it kind of kicks off perhaps at midnight. I don't know.
Yeah, but is that because that's all there is there for them to play? Just to add to Matt's point about better structures, I agree, Matt. And I agree that makes me something of a hypocrite. But Juice was asking me what would make me play more tournaments, and better structures would. But I agree that faster structured bounty hunters do give recreational players more of a chance, and I appreciate them for that. But I don't think they need to be fast. I think bounty hunters in general help losing players make their money last a little bit longer. So I don't think you need to have them as crapshoot ones. And just to answer I Hate You Butler's question,
I was going to come to that.
I probably wouldn't, buddy, because as much as I'm on video here now and having a chat, I'm a pretty antisocial fucker and I don't like people very much. So setting up something to meet a lot of people I've never fucking met before, who may or may not be a bunch of pricks, probably. I could have gone to loads of SPT events. I've no real desire to meet any of you fuckers. I like to chat with on Discord. It's nice to have a crack here, and it's nothing against any of yous. I'm just not that guy. I mean, me and my wife, we barely go out. We're quite introverted in a lot of ways. Even though I'm out there doing videos and doing this now, in a lot of ways, I'm quite introverted and. I like going to a casino to play with my friends, but the thought of meeting up with 50 or 60 people I've never met before, it fucking terrified me, to be honest. It really would, and I wouldn't be looking forward to it.
So would you, assuming the world eventually gets back to normal, then would you never be tempted to rock up to one of the Sky Poker Tour events one day?
I've been tempted many times, but I've never done it.
Fair enough.
I have been tempted, but yeah, I don't know, mate. I'm just not good at meeting new people. I'm good at meeting new people if I'm in a work, just take on a union course or a course at work and everyone else is nervous, then I'm good at taking the lead and helping people out with that. But if I turned up to where there's going to be 40, 50 people there, some of which already maybe know each other and they already have existing relationships going on. So I felt maybe a little bit like an outsider. No, that just doesn't appeal to me. And I was joking when I said beating a bunch of cunts. I enjoy people's company. I enjoy the chat, but it would intimidate me. It would make me anxious and I probably wouldn't want to do it. If I bumped into you in a casino randomly, I could sit and have a pint with you and love doing it. But if you said, Reg, let's have a meet up, it'd be worse than the first date. I'd be really... it would trigger my anxieties for sure. But if I could meet any of you in the flesh and you just come up and say, I recognise that fucking fat chubby face and that grating voice. Yeah, fucking great, mate. Let's go and have a pint. I'd bang up for that. But meeting a load of people at an organised event would genuinely trigger my anxieties pretty bad, I think.
It's interesting because, despite your sort of a self-confessed, not checkered past, but past of rubbing people up the wrong way and being a bit of a bellend. There is a lot of love and affection for you out there. I do feel that genuinely, and it's coming up in here. You know, Daniel was saying a bit earlier in the chat, can we get a monthly podcast with Reg? And we've got +1, +2, +3. So you know, I think, and because you know people have seen you, they know what you look like. I think. I feel under such circumstances, I can understand you being apprehensive, but if it ever did happen, I think you'd probably be pleasantly surprised with the amount of sort of warmth towards you and the amount of welcoming you'd probably find should you rock up at such an event.
Once I got 3 pints down, I'd be loving it. I genuinely would. But like the drive there, all of that, I'd just be, I'd be a nervous wreck. I genuinely would be, you know. It's just no point. Again, I could have hidden that and made other excuses, but I don't. I just tell the truth. People ask me a question, I answer it honestly, and it would genuinely make me very anxious knowing. I get anxious before I go to weddings, you know. The thing that it's not even my wedding. I don't want to go the day before or on the morning. I'm like, fucking hell, can I think of an excuse? What if I go to the toilet for 20 minutes and, you know, like fucking hopefully my wife will think I've got bad guts or whatever. Once I get there and I get 2 or 3 pints in me, and the fucking life and soul I speak to anybody, it's the fear of the event that spoils it. You know, I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. Then once I've done it, I'm fine with it. I'm a strange and confusing man.
No, fair enough.
I'd probably rather just turn up to one and no one know I was turning up. You know, if I was going to play an SPT, I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, I see you all there. I'd just turn up and wait for someone to recognise me, I think, rather than announce I was going to go before I. And then people are like, oh, yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting you, mate. Well, no, that makes me anxious. Turn up, sit at the table, wait for me to say raise, hear the voice, see the 20 chins and be like, I know that fat cunt. And then we can have a chat and it'd be right, you know. So, yeah, there's some scenarios where I could do it, but I wouldn't be doing it before I did it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, you know, there is still love for it. PKR saying, I'll jump on the train with him and Alan, and I Hate You Butler is still trying to twist your arm a little bit more.
Yeah, but, I've got a story about this as well. I want to see you blackball the bubble chop. We did this in Bolton years ago, me and one of my friends. I was at the fan table, of course, because I'm shit at tournaments, but he was on I
need that explaining. What is blackball the bubble chop? What does that mean?
Well, here we go. This wasn't a black ball. There was they wanted to there was, I don't know, 11 people left or something, or 10 people left, and he was paying 9. So they said, you know, should we pay bubble insurance? And my mate was a chip leader at the time, and I was tapping him on the shoulder saying, yeah, you don't want to do this, but he's giving you fucking money away. He was all for it. I was like, no, you don't need bubble insurance. You've got about 90 big blinds. Cunts over there have got 4 big blinds. So because everyone didn't agree to it, then they give you a black card and a red card, and if you want to play the bubble insurance, you put a red card to the dealer or a black one if you don't want to. And this worked out perfectly because my friend put the black card in, and there was 10 red ones, and the black one was fucking last out. And everybody couldn't look at us like we're just shitting the trifle because it was fucking, it was obvious it was us that had fucking done it. And anyway, about fucking 3 hands later, there's some local woman reg who's just pure fucking poison anyway. She got knocked out, and she announced to the table while staring at me and my friend. I was sat behind him saying, I fucking hope whoever put that fucking black card in gets home and finds out they've been fucking burgled. And she just wandered off. It was fucking marvellous. And I was just like grinning at her and smirking. And everyone at the table knew what had gone on. And it was fucking tremendous. It was utterly tremendous. So yeah, I don't pay bubble insurance. Fuck that. Unless I am the one likely to go out. If I don't think I'm getting if I'm not getting a good bet, then I'm not putting the fucking money in. Fuck them. You know, the whole point of a bubble is you play it to try and abuse the people who are scared of fucking bubbling, not get to it and then not take advantage of the situation. And that's like live poker. I get it. It's social, but how many times you get to a fucking live poker final table? There's 5 left. You want to fucking chop it? It's 3 a.m. Well, no, I fucking don't. I've come to play a tournament. I haven't come to fucking chop it because you want to get home, mate. You know, if you want to fuck off, just fuck off. We'll blind you out. Yeah. And there's been a few times when I've refused to do it, and I got a bollock on my wife once because I did it in Blackpool with 3-handed with me, Teapot Ted, who was a local Blackpool legend. And I Hate You Butler might know him. I don't know how familiar he is. He was a dustbin man back in the day, and he was like a local regular, made money. Teapot. I don't know why it's called Teapot Ted, but he was, and some other person. And I was chip leader. I think there was like whatever, the 1,200 up top, then the smaller payouts or whatever. And he offered me a reasonable deal, But I was just so fucking stubborn. I was like, nah, I want to play on. My wife was fucking kneeing me in the back, giving it fucking up. You turned down 600 quid there or whatever. I turned down like basically half a first place prize money, maybe a little bit more. And anyway, yeah, of course, I got knocked out third for 200 or whatever. So I had the wife who fucking won here nagging me. Then I had one of my best friends in the other ear giving it fucking respect, mate. For I don't give a fuck that you just burned 400 fucking quid. You're taking that chop, he said, I'd lost all respect for you. So yeah, fuck chopping, fuck bubble insurance. We're there to fucking play. That's the best part of an MTT. You want to get there. It's like basically saying, oh yeah, you can shag Michelle Keegan, but you're not allowed to come. You know, what's the fucking point? Just don't shag her then. What's the point in that? You know? Not that they'd be able to stop me for the record, because the minute we engaged, that'd be it. So they actually wouldn't be able to stop me. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's you like getting to the exciting part and then you're not allowed to enjoy it. Fuck it. I hope my wife doesn't see that bit. Man, she'll be aware of my premature arrival, so yeah, whatever. Won't be a surprise to her.
Would that be your current wife, to give her a full title?
Yes. Well, I've only had one wife, but yeah, she's the current one, and hopefully she remains that way. But it's not guaranteed. You never know. That's why she's always current and not forever.
The Reggie gems, shit in the trifle, love it. So, moving on then from your your live poker exploits, let me ask you a bit about app sites then. So I know that's your bread and butter now as a player, and also I know you kind of sell the idea and get other people into the games as well. How did you like first get into them? Who first put you in an app club, and how did it work?
The guy I work with now, the agent still. I only work with one person. He is he's a good bloke. He's very rough around the edges. He's an acquired taste, but I guess you need to be in that game because you don't want people thinking they could fucking walk all over you.
Is he British?
Yeah, he's British. The next part though lives in Thailand. Retired out there now. And he messaged me, and he did it properly because I had the Facebook group, and there's always people like trying to get the messages through, fucking blocking and deleting. He never did any of that. He just sent me a private message saying, "Look, I think we can work together. I think we can be good for each other. You know, we can make some money." And at the time, I was doing well on Sky. I was very anti the apps because this was at the point where there'd been the scandals with some of like the New York Poker King sticks off Reddit. A lot of people had created small clubs, ran off with the money, and I wanted nothing to do with them. So the first time he approached me, I said, "No, thank you very much," left it. And he just, he respected that. He didn't spam the group. He didn't put any of his people in the group to spam it. And then he got in touch with me after the Sky debacle when they banned me. And I was thinking, right, well, I need to do something else now anyway. I was kind of getting to the point where I didn't feel it was very ethical of me to coach people because my game was getting further and further behind, and I wouldn't do anything that I didn't think if I couldn't give value to people, I wouldn't take the money. So I was like, well, I need to find another income stream. He got in touch again, and just all them stars collided at once. So however you say it, and I was like, yeah, fair enough. We'll give it a whirl. And I started off with just 2 or 3 players making like £40-50 a week. I was like, well, that's better than that. It's replaced the coaching income if nothing else. And then it just fucking grew and it grew and it grew. And now I've probably got I've got a private I've got a private group on Facebook that's got all the players I've ever worked with. That's well over 100 now, although they're not all active, of course. People deposit, lose, leave, etc. But I've probably got 40-50 active players, and it's going well. It's going well, yeah. But I'm not an agent because I think the legalities around being an agent compared to being an affiliate, if the police ever come knocking, I think I'm much safer being an affiliate than I am being an agent. Because if you're an agent, you're facilitating the games as such. All I'm doing is putting person A in touch with person B and then getting a kickback, if you will. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm still in the shit if the shit ever hits the fan. But I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. But yeah, they are what they are, aren't they? You know, is it a safe environment with the right people? Safe-ish. The win rates you can get in there more than mitigate the risk. I always talk to anyone that's worked with me will know that I always encourage them to deposit the minimum. make sure they're keeping most of the bankroll offline, make sure it's safe. Because if something did go wrong, they'd all lose the money. And I'd feel pretty shit about that, but there's nothing I could do about it. And everyone, and I mean everyone, gets that warning before we even start that I'll try my best for you if anything went wrong, but the chances are whatever you have on there, you'll probably never see again. And that's the risk everyone's got to take. And that's why some people don't go on them.
Yeah, and, I mean, I'm aware of those pitfalls at least, and it's never been a sort of I've never ventured down that path as yet. But it don't. I don't want to suck up to you, but if I was to do that, you would be the first person I'd call, because I think you're a proper stand-up bloke. I don't think you're full of shit, and I'd be happy to do it with you. So I'm going to ask you some basic questions about it, as someone who's never done that, but likes a bit of poker. How would it work then? Say I message you and I say, Reg, right, I'm going to bite the bullet. I want to give these app games a go. What's the next step? Do I send you money? Do I send it to this other guy? How does it work? What's the next step?
Theoretically, I should put you in touch with him, and then you just do everything through him. But he is incredibly busy, and because he lives in Thailand, he's not in the same time zone as most of the people I deal with, so he's not available when they need him to be available, and it was becoming a problem. The more players I got, the bigger the problem it became. So I said to him, look, we've worked together a while now, I'm putting trust in you, you've got to put trust in me, and I keep afloat, not a lot, I certainly don't have all the player funds, I have maybe 25% of player funds, so I can process people's small withdrawals and deposits for them, so they get a good service. So I would say to you, right, send me the money, and then I would hold that money until, if I got a little bit too much, I say to him, look, I've got £5,000 now, I don't need that much, and I give him some of that. So yeah, I'm kind of a bit of a hybrid between an agent and an affiliate in terms of I do hold some of the player funds, but that's purely just to give the players the quickest cash outs that I can. If somebody wants a really big cash out, if someone does really well, then they have to wait for it. If somebody wants to cash out 500 quid, they normally get it within 10 minutes of me seeing their message on Facebook or whatever it is they've sent me the message. Yeah. So I shouldn't really be doing it that way, I don't think, because I don't need to. But if I didn't do it, I think a lot of the players wouldn't be as happy with the service they get in, and I wouldn't have as many players playing under me, because it is frustrating. You send someone a deposit request at 10 at night, but it's his 4 in the morning. So you want to play at 10 o'clock at night and you can't play, because he's going to then credit that money, or he's going to get back to you at 7 a.m. when you can't play anymore. So it just greases the wheels.
You can credit people's account. So if I bunged you some money across, you can go right, click some buttons, and there you go. It's online ready for you now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Whereas if I put you in touch with him, he might not see your message for 6 hours, and by then you've gone cold on the idea, and you don't get to play, and I don't get to make a bit of extra money. It's no good for anybody.
And how does it work in terms of exchange rates? Because I know, I think your most popular clubs or most active ones are in Aussie dollars, aren't they? So so I say, all right, Reg, I want to stick 200 quid into my account. Who does the exchange? How does that get worked out? And
I whack it in Google. I just put £200, 200 GBP to Aussie dollars, wherever it comes out at, that's what you get. There's not like 888 or Party Poker where there's anything taken off. I would when I first work with people, I send them a screenshot so they know how I'm doing it, and they can see the rate. They can do it themselves and see that it's accurate. And then obviously the more people know you and trust you, they just don't even ask. You just get on with it and you just do it. Some of the other clubs, which are in weird currencies, like one of them is a Filipino club, and it's I think it's 50 chips to $1. So that we just fix that rate, because you're not going to piss around 49 chips one day, 51 chips the next day. It's just a fixed rate when you deposit, it's a fixed rate when you withdraw. And sometimes maybe the agent does a little bit better out of that. Sometimes the player does a little bit. Depends on the fluctuations, but it's just easier that way when it's. But for Aussie dollars or to US dollars, I'd use the Google exchange rate for them, and for the other, like I say, for the fucking bonkers currencies, we just have a fixed rate.
Fair enough. I like that, bonkers currencies. And so what's the rate structure in these games?
Usually 3 big blinds cap, 5% rake, capped at 3 big blinds, and clubs that run jackpots, they have a 1 big blind jackpot drop on top of that as well.
Okay.
But some clubs seems to be more than that. But I would, if someone questioned it, I would then just get in touch with the club admin and say, look, what is your rate structure? Because I saw one the other week where it looked like 5 big blinds had been taken. It was a fucking huge pot, so it's still a tiny amount of the pot, but it was more than 3 big blinds. So I got in touch and questioned it, and they were like, no, this union, they take 4 plus jackpot. But usually I tell people it's 3 plus jackpot because that's how it is, unless someone tells me they think otherwise, then I'll double check for them. But even if it's like capped at 4 big blinds, it's still very, very low rake. And when you're playing heads up if you and I were playing heads up pre-flop and we limped and then you won the pot, there's no rake taken out of that. I think the rake doesn't get taken until the pot gets to a certain size. I don't know what the size is, but I think I played heads up against people where I played maybe 10 hands, finally stacked them, and I've only been raked the minimal amount. You know, all the small pots don't seem to be. Maybe it's, I don't know, 4 or 5 big blinds before they even start taking a rake. I'm not sure.
Yeah. And
which is obviously really good for table starters.
So I assume it's no flop, no drop, unlike GG that get a load of stick for raking pre-flop.
Yeah, the rake's really, you know, it's as low as you'll find anywhere. It really genuinely is. It's ridiculously low, and usually getting 20 to 25% rake back. So in terms of like your rake in big blinds per 100, you won't find lower anywhere. Even the clubs that charge a little bit more, you still won't find lower anywhere else for the micro stakes.
Yeah, no, I mean that sounds pretty damn fair because you know, well, I guess it's kind of relative until you sort of start taking that up to sort of much higher stakes. But I don't know, say the rate cap on Sky is £1.80, 5% or £1.80. So, you know, if you're playing 20 NL, that's 9 big blinds, the cap. So, you know, if you're playing in games where it gets capped at 3 or 4 big blinds at that level, brilliant, ka-ching. At the same time, if you're playing, I don't know, say 1k NL, £10 blinds or equivalent, you know, suddenly that's 30 quid as a rate cap at 3 big blinds. That suddenly gets a bit, fucking hell, that's comparatively awful. Yeah, so I guess it's relative, isn't it? But it's great for lower stakes.
I don't know how that compares to the other sites, to be honest with you. But yeah, you're absolutely right. When you do it that way, it's better for the lower you play, the better it is. I've seen some absurdly massive PLO pots that have just had 4 or 5 blinds taken out of them. Whereas if you saw them on Sky, like you say, they'd be taking the maximum every time. You know, it's really easy to like. I think like on Sky, where the problem is with the 10 and L games especially, is once the pots get really big, the percentage of rake effectively becomes lower. It's the smaller pots where they're taking 7.5 blinds and the cap's never met.
7.5%, not blinds.
Sorry, 7.5%. Yeah. So every time you're not meeting the cap, your rake in terms of big blinds for 100 is higher and higher and higher. Whereas in these clubs, it doesn't. There isn't that much like variant. And the small pots, you're not getting rake very much at all.
Cool. It's sounding more appealing than I thought, and I'm not trying to shill on Reggie's behalf. I'm not getting a kickback for anything. I've never played these games.
Please don't. I didn't want. I wanted to come and shill the charity tonight, but I'd have been happy not even to talk about the app clubs. To be honest, it's your stream, it's your channel. I don't spam it in the chat when you're streaming, and I didn't intend to do it tonight either.
No, absolutely. And honestly, this is like all coming off my back because I'm curious about them. You know, I've got to the point of I've downloaded PP Poker. I've had a bit of a play and like the free games, thinking, don't want to dive into these. Kind of tilts me a bit because, like, anyway, new software is always slightly annoying because like, what the fuck? Hang on, how do I do X, Y, and Z? But I wanted to ask you about this because I don't know, fuck my viewers. Sorry, guys. I have a personal curiosity to find out more, and what better than talking to the man direct, face to face. So another question I've got for you then, because like I said, I've had a tentative investigation from my end, just with I think I downloaded UPoker like a few months back, and same sort of thing. Thought, no, fuck it, I can't be asked for that, and did a PP Poker more recently, which I know is one of your main sites that you sort of work on. When I see your videos, there's a HUD that's integrated into the PP Poker software. And when I was having a nose around PP Poker, it appears, from what I can tell, that I would have to pay to be able to have that HUD. And I have to pay, essentially I pay PP Poker. I guess it's kind of like how they make their money from sort of the frills around the edge. Is that correct? If the HUD I see on your videos, I wouldn't get that automatically if I just dived in first off with my first deposit.
Yeah, you wouldn't get it, and it's overpriced. It's rubbish. It costs too much. I get it free because the people I work with, because I make videos and like promote it, they give it to me. I wouldn't pay for it if I wasn't getting it free. I wouldn't have it. It's something like $50 a month. It's a very basic HUD.
Yeah.
So,
that's what I saw. I looked into it, and I go, "Oh, hang on, you have to buy like coins or something," and you go through the.
You have to buy diamonds.
I remember looking at it going, "Fucking hell, how much? How much for a shit HUD?"
I wouldn't. But the people who like some of the players who rake a bit higher, I'm able to get them a discount from the club owners and what have you. But yeah, if I was just playing off my own money, there's not a chance I'd spend $55 a month for a HUD that basic for playing the stakes I pay. Player. That's the advice I give to people too. I don't go try to overly sell that. You don't really need it. You click on a player and get the basic stats. It offers maybe 4 more stats, and it's at the table so you can see it rather than having to click. So it's convenient, but it's not. I'd probably win just fine without it. But as I'm getting it for free, of course I'm going to have it. But I certainly wouldn't spend my own money on it.
Yeah. Another donation coming in, Reg.
Thank you, Larson. Larson's another guy who I've sparred with down the years. Verbally, and then another one that Larson, I like you, mate. I don't think you're that good, to be honest. But yeah, thank you very much for the donation, and you were great in chat. What I always suspect about you, Larson, so confirm it in the chat if you will. You seem to go missing and then come back on payday and be fucking mental for 2 weeks, then I presumed go broke until payday again. Is that true? And if I've been a cunt, I'll send you your tenner back. I promise you. In fact, okay, I'll send you 15 back because that's a cunt of a question to ask somebody. But I'd love to know. Do you make money? Because I'm not convinced. You're an aggro fucker. You're mental and you're difficult to play against. But then you just do fucking some crazy, crazy things super deep. So yeah.
Oh, I love it. Thank you very much for the £10 charity donation. Here's some needle.
Yeah. I shouldn't have said that. It makes me look a cunt. But I've wondered that for years because he just seemed to turn up at the end of the month for 2 weeks and then fuck off for 2 weeks. So I'm just interested. None of my fucking business. Fuck what I'd do with me. But, his name popped up and he was nice and I'd just been a prick. So, yeah. I tell you what, I'm going to put an extra tenner in. I'm going to double this donation because I feel like a twat now, but too late. I've said it, haven't I? Just like I said about Michelle Keegan and Spunking and Paddy's made a clip, which I didn't want him to do. So, yeah. I did tell you I didn't have a filter before I started, didn't I? I probably just offended the first person of the night, but cheers, Larson. Crack on, Chris. Move on. Get me out of this. Get me out of this shit.
So, going back to these app sites then, Reg, shall we? Do they have MTTs on them?
Yes.
Okay,
I don't want my players playing them because when people win big, it's a fucking ball ache. I won a jackpot back in January. I won $6,000, and it was just a week of anxiety and stress. Like I knew I'd get paid, but until you've got it, you can't. If I won $6,000 on PokerStars, I click withdraw. It's in my PayPal in 10 minutes. Yeah, this was stressful, and then it was actually April Fool's Day. It's the fucking most ridiculous thing I've ever had in my life. I woke up to 3 messages from 3 different players who'd all won jackpots. 2 of them won it. They were in the same hand together. They didn't know each other, completely independent of each other, but they won it. And there's $18,000 I had to get together to pay these people out from like loads of different club managers and agents. And I had money coming to me PayPal from all kinds of fucking various places. We got the money together within 3 days and got them all paid out. But then PayPal blocked me for a while, because they were like, what's going on here? You just received 18,000. Then my bank's in the arse of me because I just fucking put like 15,000 from PayPal to my bank and it instantly sent it to, and it was just a massive fucking ball ache. So I actively discourage MTT players. If they come to me, I'm like, no. I ain't really do cash games, mate. I don't want my players winning jackpots and I don't want them winning MTTs. So therefore, yeah, I try and stay away from them. It just creates aggravation that I can well do without.
Fair enough, but they are on there.
By the way, Larson works on the rig, so I apologise, Larson. But if you work on the rigs, you can maybe double that tenner because you'll be worth a fucking fortune, fella. So, yeah, crack on.
Well, maybe not from what you said about his poker skills.
Yeah, that's true. Well, Larson, honestly, thank you very much. And if I've offended you, I do apologise. Working on the rigs there, that makes sense now. That makes more sense than going broke every 2 weeks, doesn't it?
Yeah. No, that would make a lot of sense.
That makes more sense, yeah. And Larson, where are you from? Because doesn't he just say hello in his fucking name? and his location? Is he the one that's just got hello as his location?
Don't know. I've seen that before. I've got a feeling he's Scottish. I don't know if I just heard that on the grapevine. But anyway, working on the rigs, obviously, he'll be
Well,
up
I
that
assume
neck of the woods.
Scottish because I just presumed he was a Celtic fan who did the old which is another one of your reads, football-related nicknames. You know, let's drag you into this shit with me.
No, that is true. You know, I've said it before. You know, if you got like, I don't know, MUFC Kev, something like that. Mate,
Ace Gooner. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. If you've got a football team in your name, you may as well just implant like tattoo whale on your forehead when you first turn up. Obviously, it's not always the case, but it seems to be. Judge for yourselves, guys, as to whether there is a screen name tell there on the abilities of a player. Actually, on the subject of screen names, then, just going back to your app clubs. When you join a club, do you choose a name and then like on PokerStars or Sky, that's it, and that's your name on all the tables, or can you change it like you can on Unibet? How does that work?
You can change it. I don't know if it's limited because I don't bother. But I have seen players that have come to me with one name, and then when I've gone to do the rate back and try to find them, and they've changed the name to something else, so I've had to do by player ID number. So I know it's possible to change your name. How many times? I don't know, to be honest with you, but it's less of an issue because if guys wanted to continually change their identity, they could just leave a club and then rejoin it or what have you. Anyone with Duesenberg in the air, I can't argue with that, Mr. Penguins.
That is a fine and fair comment. Anyone named after German guitars or cars?
The thing is, I don't think you're a whale because before I knew you, you had my yellow tag for a very long time, and that tag was reserved for the Congas of the world and your Ronnies and just proper nits. Yellow tag is just don't pay this fucker off tag, and you had that for the longest time. So you weren't a whale; you were just a big nit. You eventually upgraded to red when I realised you had a couple of moves, but yeah, you would. And I would tag myself yellow too, by the way. So it's not a massive burn, but yeah, he's not a whale; he's just a nitfish, isn't he? Just a nit fish.
I'm fine with that. I'm absolutely fine with that. But it's funny kind of hearing you say that sort of thing because I was aware of your tendencies from at least from your videos and seeing some of your play in the videos and the way you describe yourself. So I probably I was probably bluffing you with a much higher frequency than you probably expected because I was there going, oh, fuck me, it's RegiTime. You know, he shits himself. You know, like, fucking check raise him on the river with any two. He shits himself and only calls for the nuts.
I absolutely do. Yeah, anyone who watched my videos would have been able to exploit the fuck out of me. You know, the fact I was still crushing Sky despite I was making 2 videos a week goes to show how few Sky regs were watching my videos, or if they were watching them, how shit they were at adjusting to me. I guess. I can't tell you this girl's name because you'd know all my passwords then, but here she is. She's turned up to see you for a little bit.
And do you just have the... I was about to say, so there's more than one pussy in the household. Just the one cat, or do you have another?
Yes, we were toying with the idea of getting a second, but like me, she's pretty fucking antisocial. So if we got a second cat, I don't think she'd like it much. So no, we just get the one. We were going to foster one at the weekend, but turned out they got another foster home. And then I said to my wife, well, if we're going to foster one, let's get another kitten. And we decided not to because I don't think she'd like it. And you're part of the family now, aren't you, mate? I can't say your name though because they'll all hack me. They'll hack me if they so. And she's fucking off now. She stuck her ass in my face and now she's fucked off. Yeah, she's not a very sociable cat, but anyways, yeah, fuck her. Fuck the cat. No one wants to talk about cats today. What were we talking about?
Well, we were. Yeah. Basically, you were flaming me for being a nit. No.
You need to be quiet a minute. Because we need to talk about your bet sizings and MTTs against shit players. You know. You bet way too small, way too fucking often. I'm just like, just fucking stack the guy, mate. You know, you're like, oh, I'm going to bet small here with all my range. And the guy doesn't give a fuck about your range. It's just me have top pair, me not fold. And you're there fucking around betting 1/3 pot. And it's like, come on, mate, just fucking stack the cunt. You've got top set or whatever, or middle set. And I see you there betting less than half pot. What is going on, sir? You know, you when you were good at cash, and you were good at cash, and you know, as much as Anelia, you used to make a decent wage at cash. You were fucking around with 33% and 40% pot bets, and and these tournaments you play in are softer than the cash games we used to play in, but you're all of a sudden using these fucking newfangled modern fucking sizes. And I just don't understand why you do it. Just fucking you have a good hand against some country who's not paying attention, bet it bigger, build more stacks, beat Wally, get me 20 quid off Nostri. Simple as that. I want to see bigger bet sizes tomorrow at you. I want to see a lot. I want to see this half pot, and then I want to see an upwards roll of the fucking scroll wheel. I want us getting up to 2/3 and 3/4 with our strongest hands against fucking people who are basically headbutting the keyboard. That's what I want to see from you.
I mean, I think that's an unkind way to describe Matt Bates and Hedo and whoever else is currently lurking in the chat here. But
no, I'm not. I'm not talking about them. Against them, you have to absolutely, have wider ranges for betting and use smaller sizes as a consequence of that. But against we're c-betting against fish that we're not going to bluff with very often. We're only ever going to be c-betting strong made hand, strong draws, and then you're using small sizes. I think if you're in a low frequency betting spot, fucking wrap the fucking size up. And you used to do that, and you don't anymore. And it's like, why aren't we doing that? Well, I think you miss so much value from bad players. I really do, and it's a shame because I want to see you beat Waller because I want Lord Nostri's 10 at 20 quid, and nothing against Waller, but I just enjoy seeing people get deep in tournaments, and you haven't been doing that very much of late, and I want you to start doing it. That's all said out of love, by the way.
Oh.
And you deep down, it's fucking true. Betting 40% pot for value against a fish is the fucking. It's as mad as a box of frogs. It really is.
I will consider myself told, and I'll take it under advisement. And I mean, at the end of the day, though, mate, it all depends on where I roll my random number generator as to which of my which size I'm going to use against the whale.
Tell you where you want to roll that. You want to roll it right into the fucking nearest fucking puddle you find. If you have to use a random number generator on Sky and just fucking, I don't know, take up fucking backgammon or something, just fucking make hands, bet big, win the fucking money, get on with it.
Oh. Is half pot big enough? I know you like the half pot size.
No, it's not big enough. And fucking quit it with this ace-9 suited under the gun raising shit as well. Because you play shit in those spots too. And I've seen you do it. Oh, ace-9 under the gun, I'll raise. Then you'll flop an ace. Then you won't know what to fucking do. Then you'll end up folding it when you probably shouldn't. Knit up under the gun. Make your fucking bets bigger in position versus fucking Wales. And let's win a fucking tournament on Wednesday. Can we do that?
Well, I'm all down for winning some tournaments on Wednesday. I'm not quite down for not opening ace-9 suited under the gun. I'm opening every fucking suited ace under the gun, but with some rare exceptions.
Yeah, some people just never learn then, do they? Because it's not doing you. I watch your stream and it doesn't do you very much good. It really doesn't. I haven't seen you win many pots with the bottom of your under the gun opening range. I've seen you get in some weird spots with them, but I haven't seen you win many fucking big pots with them. That's why I haven't seen. And power at it, cut that fucking beer out, because 2 sniffs of the barmaid's apron and you turn into Juice and Will. You don't give a fuck anymore. It's like you're at a fucking party. All you want to do is get involved in the chat and your poker goes to rat shit. No beer tomorrow night. Get the fucking bet sizes up, knit up under the gun, and let's fucking put Waller under pressure on Friday. All right, Chief?
Yes, sir.
There you go. People used to pay for that. People used to pay for that shit, and you just had it free.
Well, lucky me, Sergeant Major Reg is in the house to whip this little soldier into line. Who invited you on? Fucking hell. I might try and get something on in a couple of weeks' time to sort of, encourage me to widen my under the gun range and use quarter pot sizes.
Well, something would be my polar opposite, wouldn't he? He'd be my absolute polar opposite. And I do love that guy because the man's off his fucking rocker and he does some weird shit that works, and I fucking like that. It's like voodoo almost. It's fucking tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. I've got a lot of time for something, and I'm not just saying that in case he pops along with the dono button. I do like him. I like the fact he rubs people up the wrong way. I like the fact he slow rolls arrogant. There's a lot to like about that young man. There's a fucking lot to like about him.
I believe he's renamed him. It's not arrogant, it's arrogant now.
Yeah, that's fine by me. I'm up for that.
Gold. All right, Reg. I will see what I can do. I remember you did tell me to stop the beers when streaming, so I haven't had any tonight. I thought I at least wanted GTO podcast.
Yeah, we'll make it last on Mondays. You're a far worse player now than you were when you started streaming. And with all the honesty, you are. And I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I like the banter. I think you're a fucking superb streamer. You're a very lovable guy, but you've gone shit, and you need to stop being shit. You know?
Actually, I will concur, and in that I'll say, compared to when I started streaming earlier this year, I have over more recent months given less of a fuck about the poker part of it.
Yes, and that's obvious for all to see, and it's a shame because you could do both because you did both at the start. You know.
Oh fuck it! Right, I'll win the main on Wednesday. How about that?
Nice.
Should we do that?
Can I have 5%?
All right. So I'll tell you what.
Some fucker clip that for sure.
Right, clip this now. I will be playing the main on Wednesday, all off my own dime. If I win the main on Wednesday, 5% of my main win gets added to the charity kitty. All right.
You'll do for me, boss.
All right. Done. Right. Get the beers out early. Save me a few quid. Where were we then? So, I've had the unexpected ticking off from Reggie there. What else was I going to ask him along these lines? Just one thing, by the way, guys. Unfortunately, unlike the marathon podcast we got from Matt Bates, Reggie does have a bit of a cut-off time because he's currently in the marital boudoir, and I believe his current wife will be wanting to go to bed at some point.
No, I'm in the spare bedroom now. I'm in the guest room, as I like to call it, even though it's just not a guest room. But but the bedroom is next door, and she gets up early, so 11 o'clock is maybe. If I'm mid-rant, we can maybe go till 10 past, but it needs to be. We've probably got about an hour left, I would say.
Fair enough. So just priming you all out there, and also those that are just going, oh fucking hell, what time's this going to end? To give you all a sense either way. So where was I going to move on to? So all right, you've had you've given me some shit for some of my recent performances on stream. Yeah, fair enough. Like I say, I will hold my hands up and say I've been kind of clicking buttons, not really caring either way. How about you? What would you consider to be your biggest weaknesses in your game currently?
Mental game still. I think I've got a good mental game, and it's been all the time. Like I said, I mentioned it earlier, scared money. I don't like losing. I have a fear of losing, and I sometimes back out of hands earlier than I should because I'm like, well, I don't know how I'm going to respond further down the streets. And that's when I'd love to have a bit of the something, fuck it, YOLO. Kind of like, I kind of know someone's weak, but I don't pull the trigger. You know, I don't follow through on my reads sometimes. But it's not scared money because if I lost whatever, if I had like £1,000 losing month, it wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't have to move down or anything like that. But I just like winning. So fear of losing sometimes makes me a bit too passive and a bit too weak sometimes, I think, for sure. I'm definitely on the weak tight side.
Yeah, fair
That's
enough.
for certain.
And is that something that you would... Because you recognise it, is it something you'd like to address? And
I do from time to time. Sometimes I'll go deliberately sit in tough tables and battle, and then I'll remember that that's fucking horrible and not much fun. I'll either get lucky and suck out at a few people who've tremendously outplayed me, or I'll lose 3 or 4 stacks and hate poker for a few days. But it's I don't know. It's a leak that I've tried to plug numerous times, and I can plug it for a while, but then I kind of morph back to it, and I just take like the path of least resistance a lot of the times, which I think probably works out in my favour overall because paying off in these games or staying in hands when, you know, mostly passive opponents are taking strong lines probably isn't good for our bottom line. But theoretically, I'd make mistakes. Whether they're actual mistakes, I don't know. My win rate suggests that maybe not, but you know, I made a video a while back where I was showing a load of folds that I made that people were fucking tearing their hair out at. You know, I think I folded top set of aces on a monotone flop and people went fucking balmy at me. Then I folded kings.
There was a message earlier in the chat about that. You know, can something like, can you get Reggie to promise never to fold top set again or something? Or I was like, I'll make a donation if he promises never to fold top set.
I can't make that promise. If I think can beat, I just make the fold. And and I don't pay off. I don't do paying off. You know, my paying off is usually spew when I'm being aggressive versus someone who I know has probably got it, but you know, maybe I've got a key blocker or something. So that one time in 100, I'll let blockers influence my decision, and then just dump a fucking stack on somebody. But yeah, that weak tight, definitely. I would say I am a weak tight player. and I could probably improve that. But maybe that would spring leaks elsewhere. That would maybe by plugging one leak, create a bigger leak somewhere else. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, there's always a balance, isn't there? You know, I remember it's probably the same now, but like for years, especially microstakes guys, you'd have them going, "Oh, if only I could fix my red line, my green line would be all right." But the problem is, like, so many of them would then try and fix their red line, and their blue line would fucking tank in the process.
Yeah.
So there is the lesser of two evils. But I mean, do you? You said you haven't really done any active study for ages. Do you think that would be of benefit to you? Would you? I mean, like you talk about, would you like to try and have more of an edge over regs as well? And are you tempted to get on the study grind more?
No. I've no interest in playing with regs. Regs are just an inconvenience. They're just there.
Yeah.
They sometimes get in the way of what I'm trying to achieve, which is play hands with the fish.
Yeah.
You know, against regs, I'm very tight against regulars, over tight, too tight for sure. And anyone who's any good will exploit the shit out of me. And I'm not worried if some regs. If I don't, because I don't defend my blinds anywhere near enough, and I don't fucking care. And I also don't steal wide enough from the button. And again, I don't really care, because my goal at any table is, where's the fish at? Let's just try and get in pots with him. So I play wide ranges against fishes, and I play super tight against regulars. And I know they'll exploit me, and I'm not worried, because the minute I start getting in pissing contests with regulars is the minute my win rate goes down, and I don't enjoy it as much. So therefore, I don't play as much either. So it's more of a holistic thing for me. I know I've got some leaks, but those leaks are manageable. I'm still having a good win rate, and it keeps me in the games more. If I have sessions 2 or 3 in a row where I've been playing against regulars and I've not been doing too well, I'd barely want to log in the next day. Whereas if I've been doing my usual thing and just winning money day after day after day, I can't wait to log in. So it's 100% mental game leaks, and my mental game's pretty good, but that's one I've had for as long as I can remember. It hasn't gone away yet. Doubt it's going to go away anywhere time in the future, I would imagine.
Fair enough. Question for you then. Bankroll management then. I mean, how do you work it? Do you have a set pot and go, right, that's my poker funds, and my, I'm never going to have more than 1% of my roll on any table or something like that, or do you just go, look, here's my life pot, and I'll just dip into it for whatever I want for poker? How do you do it? Do you segregate it?
I used to when money was like more scarce for me, for sure. I remember back in the day, I had my biggest ever downswing. It was like 1,400 quid back on Betfair, and I had like 50 quid in the bank, maybe even not even that, So my bankroll management, my bankroll was my life roll. Yeah. Whereas now, I'm massively overrolled for the games I play. I tend to just keep, anywhere between 15 to 20 buy-ins in any of the clubs I'm in, and that's it. But if I lost it all, I could easily reload, because I'm huge overrolled. For what do I play? 25 and L in sterling. In terms of like my life roll, hugely overrolled. But most of it, I used to have like a 40 fucking system. When I was playing on Sky, I was only playing like 20 and 30 and L, so I'd never have more than like 400 quid in there, 400 or 500 quid. Then I'd have like most of my money in PayPal, and that was still my bankroll. So while it was in PayPal, it was in play if I needed it. Once it went out of the PayPal, once my PayPal got to say, I don't know, I've got 3,000 in PayPal now, so I'll take 1,000 out. That went in the building society, and that was locked in. It was never to be withdrawn. And if my bankroll went down, I moved down. Even though I could get money from somewhere else to continue playing those stakes, if my bankroll went down, I would then move down. Even though there's times when I didn't play 30L on Sky because I only had maybe 500 quid in PayPal and 300 on the site. So I was like, well, no, until I get this back up, we're not playing 30L. But I could have easily just gone to the building site, got a grand or something out and topped myself back up. But no, it was locked in. Once it was locked in, because I didn't have a life roll. Until my 40s, I was hand to mouth. Yeah. It's only when I started getting a bit better with my money in other areas, that I stopped drinking, this, that, and the other, that I could start saving money. And I've never really. I had to be careful with my bankroll. Now I don't need to be, but I still am, because I'm just a fucking nit. It's just what I am. So even though I've got like plenty of money now, I could easily afford to play 100 nil or 200 nil on these app clubs, and probably winning them. But the thought of just like having a $400 losing session, no, I don't want it. I'm not interested. Even though it wouldn't change my life in any way, I don't fucking want it. I don't want to live with the fucking hell just torch $400. I don't want it. It makes me feel shit. It makes me feel. I have bad dreams. I'll have a bad night's sleep. If I have a bad losing session, I have a bad night's sleep, and life's too short to let poker impact it in that way. So I'm happy just playing, making a bit of pocket money, doing other things, and just chivying away. I've no ambition to be a high stakes superstar.
So, but going back some years, you did used to play higher. Am I right thinking you used to play as high as 200 NL?
At my peak, I played 400 NL on 888. And this will answer Matt Bates' question. I think he asked what was the biggest ever pot won. I won I think it was like a $1,700 pot against a very good regular. I had set of eights. He had top 2 on Ace King 8. All the money went in. I was absolutely shitting my pants. We were playing because there was a whale at the table. I was fucking terrified. And I called it off with bottom set against somebody who was like, he asked to have value here because it was like a 250 big blind pot each or whatever, maybe just under 250. So I knew he had to be strong, but I was like, bottom set, what can I do here? And so we got it in, and I snapped fucking like sat out. I apologised to him saying, look, mate, this is going to look terrible, but that made me fucking shit my pants. And he was great about it because he was a quality reg. He understands to correct. Like, yeah, no worries, mate, no problem. And I never played 400 again because that made me proper shit my pants. Just ran away back to 200 nil. And then, like I said, I was playing 200 nil really happily, but I was doing that when I wanted to change my life. Because I was working in a laboratory in a factory and analysing fucking filter papers all day, bored out of my brain, hated the job, hated doing it, and then that's when I wanted to be a full-time poker pro, and I thought, well, I need to build up savings, prove to the wife I can make a living from this, so I can just fucking quit. And then before I had a chance to do that, I got made redundant anyway. So that's when I was like, well, now is the perfect time to try and do it. And that's what we talked about earlier. I did it for 3 months. I didn't like the lifestyle, and then went back to having a job as much as anything else for like the social interaction it gives you, like for your mental well-being. I don't think being a full-time poker professional is good for your mental well-being. It certainly wasn't for mine anyway.
Yeah, fair enough. And so you sort of, what did the games get tougher, and so you moved down accordingly, or is it just that your ring piece started twitching more and more at the money on the table, and so that's why you moved down?
I had some life expenses that I'd used my bankroll to pay for, which I regret now. I had to buy a car, a couple of other things. And I think at the time I had like a $12,000 bankroll on 888, like 12 grand on there. And I had to withdraw like maybe 5 or 6 grand of it. And then I lost a little bit. The next thing I had a 3 grand bankroll. So I moved back down to 50 NL and never really moved back up again.
Fair enough. But now you're in a much more comfortable situation, as you say. Is there ever a temptation of you to, say, pick one of your clubs or one site or what have you and say, look, I'll stick 500 quid in there now. I'll write it off mentally already. So I'll pretend I don't even have that 500 quid anymore and just see how high you can go with it. Is there ever any temptation to do that?
No, it literally never crosses my mind. I played poker in the first place because when I first started playing poker, I was a degenerate gambler, horses, fucking dogs, football a lot. And then poker, like, made me stop doing the sports betting. Well, stop doing it as damagingly as I was. And I went from being like a losing gambler to maybe a break-even gambler or whatever. Then poker became, I don't like my fucking job. I don't like my life. So poker's going to change my life. And now, through various fucking ways, it has changed my life. I like my life the way it is. And I don't want to put that at risk by shutting higher status games, maybe losing more money than I'm comfortable with, and then having to change my life again. Because, if, for example, this affiliate thing goes tits up and it could go tits up next week or in 10 years' time, we don't know, then I've got enough money where I can wait around and do something that appeals to me. But if I all of a sudden lost some of that money, then it gives me less time to find the job that I want to do going forwards. So I'm in a just in my comfort zone really, and I'm happy in it, and I've no real desire to move out of it. Again, chronic lack of ambition, but it's an honest answer. It's just I'm in a comfort zone. I'm happy doing what I'm doing, making me on average 600, 700 quid a month from playing, whatever I make from the affiliate on top, then a bit of care work. I'm making more money now than I've ever made. I'm getting my life finances in order, because I was well behind. When I was 40, I was miles behind. Very little pension to speak of, very little actual money other than my poker bankroll. So now it's growing. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm getting there. And taking shots at 400 nil just to YOLO it isn't part of my plans.
No, fair enough. And I would be a horrendous hypocrite if I was to criticise that. I'm somewhat cut from the same cloth as you in terms of fuck all poker ambition. Wonderful. So, say let's say the apps are suddenly no longer viable for whatever reason. They completely go off the table as an option. Where would you go for your poker? Would you go back to Sky, at least as it currently is? Where would be your next stop if it wasn't
Sky? Sky would be the first place I'd go. Then if the games were as bad as I'm hearing they are, I honestly don't know. I think that's when I would be going down the PLO route, I think. And just trying to learn a new game where I could continue making me 600-700. If I'm making if the apps went tomorrow, if I'm making £500 or £600 a month from poker, I can get away with working part time, because we live a pretty minimalist life, me and my wife.
Yeah.
You know, our house is nice. It's nicely decorated. We just spent a bit of money doing it up. We don't live like paupers or like students, but at the same time, when we got together, I gambled, drank, and smoked, and I lost at gambling. You know, and I had 2 other leagues. Now I win at gambling. I don't drink, and I vape for cost me 15 quid a week vaping. So my expenses have gone right down. I could, on our wages where we live in the country, if we had a joint income of 1,800 quid a month, that'd be enough. So if I'm earning 600 quid a month from poker, it means I can always work part time. So I'd just do something where I could make 500-600 quid a month and then still work part time. I think, because I love my work life balance. I'd never want to be a 37.5 hour a week man again, working for some cunt I've no respect for. If that happened, I think I'd be one of the suicide statistics, because I just couldn't be arsed with it. I think. Well, maybe not. That's an exaggeration, but. You know, I spent the first 40 years of my life struggling, and now I'm not struggling, and I've got a nice balance, and I just want to keep it that way. So yeah, I'd come to Sky, and if I couldn't make the money I used to make on Sky, which averaged at about £600-700 a month on average when I put a grind in, if I couldn't do it there, I'd probably try Unibet. If I couldn't do it there, that's when I'd bite the PLO bullet. And if I couldn't do it there, before I eroded too much of the money I've made for myself, I'd probably have to go back to working full time and just be a recreational again, I guess.
What about picking up the coaching again? Would that be something that you either maybe an option under those circumstances, or is it something you have any desire to return to? Do you think?
No, because I'm not good enough anymore. What I was delivering back in 2013 to 2018, I believed in. The game's moved on massively in terms of the way it's taught, the way people think about it in the last 2 years, and I simply haven't caught up. And I wouldn't take money off people for something that I think they could probably spend that money better elsewhere. I thought it was good value for money. I was charging $30 an hour, and I was turning people from losing players to winning players. I could probably still do that now to an extent, but it wouldn't feel right to me. I'd feel like I was being a bit of a fraud. I didn't think I was when I was doing it, but I wouldn't do it now because. Could I do it? Could I start making videos and attract people to give me money to coach them? Yeah, without doubt I could, but it wouldn't be the right thing to do. It'd be a terrible thing to do, and the people that were criticising me would then be right to criticise me. So no, I very much doubt I would do that again.
Fair enough. Here's a question for you then. I know that you take great joy in finding, say, streamers, especially the Sky streamers, guys you're sort of friendly with, and finding their look-alike. I know you took joy finding Hoban, that's Bruce Grobler, PKR Parr, it's Frankie Boyle. Who's your look-alike?
Mine?
Yeah.
Fuck me, there isn't one, mate. They're fucking... Come on. I mean, I likened you to Simon Weston last night, and to be fair, I'm much more closer to that fucking mark, aren't I? Let's have it right, I don't know. I used to work with somebody called John Wakefield, who looked like a worse version of me, which is a fucking shame for him, of course. The people used to call us twins in work. But yeah, famous people, fuck knows. I couldn't tell you. If you've got one, I'm thick-skinned. I can handle it. If you've got one.
I haven't. I was just. I was
right.
thinking that, and looking at your pretty little face as I asked you that question. No, but hey, I open to the chat. Any celebrity lookalikes for Reggie? Let us know. Don't be complete cunts for the sake of it.
No, be complete cunts.
Oh, be complete cunts.
You put a question like that out, you've got to give people license to be creative with it. You know, I've had no filter. Fucking hell, the way I treated Larson earlier. Fuck it, I deserve everything I get. Fucking get at it. Get right on it. Shane McGowan. Oh, that's one. I'll start myself off with Shane McGowan. How's that? Crack on from that. Do worse than that, you fuckers.
Shrek.
Yeah.
Paddy from Emmerdale. I have no idea who that is, but
Jabba the Hutt. I'm a fan of Jabba the Hutt. What a waster. Is that could be Uwe Rosler? Is that you, Uwe Rosler? Are you what a waster? I've got a feeling that is Uwe Rosler. If it is, fuck it. When I said he was a good player earlier, no, he's not. He's a cunt. But I think what a waster might be Uwe Rosler. Anyways, move on. Let them carry on abusing me. I don't have to look at that shit. We've got 39 minutes to get
right.
the rest of you out, sir.
So, I mean, let's have a think. I'll tell you, I'm going to start moving moving on to some things that are coming from the fans. Yeah, I did my old thing of sticking a post up on the Sky Poker forum about this. There's a flurry of questions came in today, so I'm going to scan through some of those, and might be a little bit quick fire here and there, but we'll see what we get. So I'm looking at Matt Bates now. You touched on biggest pot one, which was that one that 400-0 when you then shat yourself. What's your biggest pot lost? Do you remember that?
No, not top mate. It would have been part of that downswing maybe, because I was playing on the old Betfair software. You probably won't remember that either. Betfair started off on is it Cryptologic, I think, back in the day. Then they moved to their own standalone software, and I think they bought the client from Gus Hansen. I think it was like some old like Scandinavian client. It was the absolute fucking nuts of a client. You tagged a fish, and when they like logged in, you got an alert just for them logging in, and then when they joined the table, a link come up. You could click the link, it'd take you straight to their table. It was fucking magnificent. And it was a bum hunter's fucking joy. It was outrageously good.
I used to play on Betfair then. I was the fucking fish, though.
Did you?
I didn't know what I was doing, yeah. I used to play on Betfair before it was iPoker. And yeah, I had no idea I was just fucking mashing buttons. I didn't understand table selection or anything.
That was
you
fucking,
probably
that was
hunted
a
me
neat
down
bit
back
of
in the day.
software. You never know. So yeah, and then I spun it up. I was playing 20NL, then I played 50NL. Then I remember for a friend who was talking about earlier playing PLO. He was playing full ring at the time. He got me in 100NL games. He said, "You'll fucking print," and I did. 200NL, you'll fucking print, and I didn't. And probably it's less than my biggest winning pot. I'd imagine maybe $500, maybe something like that. And it was probably part of that downswing where, like I say, I lost 1,400 quid with like less than fucking 50 quid in my bank account, and it was probably part of that, but it was a long time ago. I don't remember, but it would have been painful. But yeah, nothing huge.
I'm just enjoying coming in from the chat here. We've got a young Razor Ruddock followed by an old Razor Ruddock.
And I like that much better. I much prefer the old one. The young Razor Ruddock's almost flattering. The old one's much better.
All right. Again, these are all from Matt Bates at the moment. My podcast debutant, who I still thank to this day, and he's got this at the top of his list of questions because he was thrown by this when Dogbloke RSPCA fired this one out to him. So this might throw you, Reg, but fucking random. If you were a plant, which plant would you be?
Oh, something that fucking wilts pretty quickly. I don't know. Some of the fucking droops after that fucking day, because I'm not a particularly strong individual. I'd be some of that come into direct sunlight or whatever. If it met like its version of kryptonite, it would have no fight to it, and it would just fucking literally droop and sag and look very, very sorry very quickly. But I'm not into horticulture, so I couldn't tell you what it is. But it'd be a pathetic, easy to kill plant.
You can take a horticulture, but you can't make her think.
Fuck off. You'd know more about horses than me. We don't have that round our way. You know.
All right, more of the Matt Bates questions. Best live music you've seen?
I haven't seen any. I wanted to go and see Iron Maiden when I was younger. I wanted to go to Donington in '88. I was only 14. My mum wouldn't let me. And then 2 people died at the front when the Crush. Guns N' Roses had played, and then Iron Maiden came on. There was a Crush to the front. I think it was Donington. It was that.
Oh yeah, was it Monsters of Rock they used to call it?
I think so.
Festival, yeah.
2 people died at the front, and that gave my mum like, "Oh, I knew you shouldn't have gone," and she'd give it the massive, big, fucking result-orientated "I told you so." So yeah, I like music, but I'm not into music as such. I just like what I like, and
so does she still not let you go to this day? Is that it?
No, to be fair, she wouldn't let me go to Hillsborough either. I wanted to go to that semi-final. I didn't have a ticket. I had a season ticket at the time. I was 15, and I wanted to go without a ticket. And again, she wouldn't let me go. And obviously, she was justified that day for sure.
Fucking sniffed out danger, your mum, didn't she?
She fucking did. She still, she didn't want me to have anything to do with poker and this, that, and the other. And she was one of them. She didn't do it anymore. But for years, even when I was winning at poker, she was always one of the. How much did you lose, though? You don't understand it, man. I've made 800 quid this month. Yeah, but how much have you lost? Well, fuck all, because I've made 800. And she was still. She's not anymore. She takes an interest now, but she just she's not worried about it anymore. But to be fair, when she was worried, I was still a fucking degen, so she was probably right to be fucking worried.
Waller in the chat there, Monsters of Yacht Rock. Fucking hell, yes, I'd have some of that.
That would be phenomenal. Me and you down at Henley, we'd fucking love that shit, wouldn't we? Fucking loving it.
Rock the regatta.
That'd be your bit of rough. We could go and chat all the fucking birds up. I'd be the fluffer. You could go in at the kill and fucking get all the good sex. It'd be fucking magnificent. But yeah, live music, no. No one probably, because the only gigs I've been to have been shit local live bands that play too fucking loud. The drummer's never fucking, he's always too loud for the guitars. The guitars are always too loud for the vocalists, which is probably a fucking blessing, because the cunt's probably tone deaf. So yeah, live music, not really my thing.
Fair play. Well, in that case, moving on. Best sporting event you went to, or you've been to?
That is a good one. Probably when Barrow won the FA Trophy in 1990. My first time I've been to Wembley. What are you fucking laughing at? You asked me a question.
I was about to say, I bet we're going to get some fucking dire story about Barrow Town now.
It's not Barrow Town, is it? They're somewhere in Staffordshire, them fucking. This is Barrow AFC.
I'm sorry, I didn't know there were 2 shit Barrows.
No, this shit Barrow I watched. Probably the first time I went to Wembley, we beat Leek Town 3-0 in the trophy final. And that's probably. I've been to some good Spain. I've been to watched Liverpool in some pretty big games and what have you. But yeah, probably that's the one that first come to mind when I read the question. So I guess it must be that one.
What a fucking letdown. Right, then moving through the Bates questions. Fucking Barrow Town, honestly.
It's not Barrow Town.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I forget. I seem to have got fixated on that. Jesus. All right. Favourite Labour leader since you've been alive?
Oh, Jeremy Corbyn, 100%. Without he's like Michael Foot maybe, but before my time, he was a good old fucking lefty. But yeah, Jeremy Corbyn, he was the best prime minister we never had, without any fucking question. And the only reason he didn't get in is because the fucking right wing media just fucking made it where middle of the ground voters could not vote for him. But he had his policies. You're putting your head down and you're smirking because you're a Johnson filleting fuckwit, right? So fine, you don't have to listen, but that's the question.
Actually,
his policies. When they polled his policies did better in the polling than any other policies did. And the minute they put his name to them, they fucking dropped. And it's because the old IRA sympathiser, which was bullshit, by the way. He was not an IRA sympathiser. He just understood that to stop cunts doing cuntish things, you had to actually engage with them and not just bomb the fuck out of them and go to their home cities and kill the fuck out of them. I mean, our Northern Irish policy was a fucking disgrace for years. An absolute disgrace. And people like Corbyn paved the way for the Good Friday Agreement, and all he gets fucking leathered with is the fucking IRA sympathiser, which is pure fucking bullshit. He's voted against fucking anti-racist policies more than any MP ever has. Somehow they label him a fucking anti-Semitic. They just did a fucking hatchet job on him because they didn't want him, because he was going to say to him, give us some fucking money, you horrible cunts, because all you do is make fucking billions out of the fucking graft of the working man, hide it in fucking Panama, hide it in the Cayman Islands, and fucking never give any back, you absolute cunt bags. And they were fucking terrified that he was going to actually try and reclaim some of the fucking wealth that has been stolen from the fucking working class masses, and they were that fucking scared they just smeared him and slandered him for 3 fucking years. They're a bunch of cunts, and I will never forgive them. There you go.
So Corbyn was the answer then?
Yes, Jeremy Corbyn was the answer, yeah.
One of the reasons I'm smiling so broadly there, and I have said this on my stream, is that you... I love it, mate. You love to give me stick calling me like Tory boy or neoliberal cunt, one of those two things, or perhaps middle class twat when I mentioned the missus doing some yoga. However, I've only voted once for Labour at a general election. I've also only ever voted once Tory. It's been Lib Dems the rest of the time. The only time I've ever voted Labour in a general election was when Corbyn stood last time. So stick that in your socialist pipe and smoke.
Yeah, but hang on. You've already confessed to previously it was a tactical vote. It wasn't actually pro Corbyn. It was more anti-Tory.
Yes, true. I'm in a constituency where voting Liberal was about as useful as setting fire to a fart. However, I also knew that the only possible opposition there was really to a Tory government in the last election was Labour. Fuck's sake, honestly, I vote Corbyn and he still gives me fucking shit. Can't win, can you?
Well,
just because I voted Tory when I was 18.
If the Green Party were actually, if we had proper voting in this country rather than the first past the post bullshit, if we had proportional representation, I probably would vote Green. I've got so much respect for Caroline Lucas. I think she's fucking amazing. I think she's an amazing politician, an amazing woman. I'm not that into the environment, to be honest. I couldn't give a fuck about Greta Thunberg. She just looks like an angry little twat. I couldn't give a fuck about that sort of shit. I'm not that into the environment, but the Green Party are a pretty left-wing party, and I'd vote for them over Labour under Starmer. Starmer was my man to replace Corbyn because I think he's the sort of person the middle ground voters would possibly vote for, but he wouldn't be my man in terms of policy or his politics. But we need a better voting system in this country, and then we'd never have a majority government again, and we might actually be governed quite well rather than having majority governments that just like this one. It's fucking a shambles. Labour's majority governments work great either. I don't think you do well with majority governments. I think democracy functions best when you don't have a majority and people are actually forced to compromise and come together. So we had the chance to vote. We had a referendum years ago, didn't we, on changing the voting system, and politicians who it didn't suit managed to convince enough people it didn't suit them when it clearly would have.
Yeah, no, I agree. The fact we don't have proportional representation and have to vote tactically to feel like we have any influence at all fucking pains me. So
yeah, it's a joke. At the election,
I agree with you.
Like 2015, I think it was, like the SNP got 4 million votes and 40 odd seats. UKIP, who I couldn't fucking stand, got 11 million votes and no seats. Now, how is that democratic? It isn't, is it? I don't want them cunts having a voice in my parliament, but enough people vote for them, they're entitled to it. And they didn't get it. We don't live in a democracy. It's a fucking shambles. We live in a sham democracy. Right. But I didn't want to get on politics. Get me on something else. Get me on sport or something. I don't fucking know. I've got some strong opinions that I can't always back up, and I don't want clever cunts in the chat calling me out and putting me in a soft spot.
Well, unfortunately, I mean, if I'm to tick off all of Matt Bates's questions, I'm on his last one, which is Thatcher or Johnson.
Yeah, I don't know what that's a fucking AIDS or cancer, isn't it? You don't want either. But Johnson's more likeable for sure. Thatcher was a cunt in the north. She was fucking. I was at a football match watching Barrow versus Hyde, I think, one night. It was a Tuesday night, and rumours came through that Margaret Thatcher had died. Unfortunately, she fucking hadn't. And people all around the ground of both teams were fucking celebrating. It went round and there was like a fucking goal had been scored. She's that hated in the north. Right. And then the groans went round like, oh, that goal's been disallowed. She's still alive, the cunt. And yeah, I mean, when someone dies and Ding Dong the Witch is dead goes to number one, she's upset a lot of people, hasn't she? And she was a cunt of the highest order. She fucking ruined the north. I used to go to some of the former pit villages watching Barrow, and some of the places. There's a place in Yorkshire called South Elmsall. It was a colliery. Frickley. The team was called Frickley. It was that colliery team, and that place it just been fucking left to dry up and blow away. It was fucking horrendous. They had locks in the fucking toilets in the bookies because people used to go in there to shoot up because they had nowhere else warm to go and shoot up and shit. What a fucking she ruined the fucking north of England, and then the rest of the neoliberal cunts have carried on doing it. Boris carried on doing it today by fucking Liverpool over with all these restrictions because Tories despise Liverpool, and them poor cunts are getting a kicking from the Tories now, aren't they? Yeah, so Johnson's a cunt, but Thatcher was an uber cunt.
Johnson by a gnat's cock then takes it.
Yes. Johnson by a button mushroom.
We will move along now away from the politics questions. So I'm just like kind of scanning down the forum thread here. I can't ask him this one. Waller says, "Who's your favourite streamer and why is it Waller?"
Well, it's you, but I didn't want to say that. So you're a bit of a cunt for asking me, really, aren't you?
Just responding to the fans.
I like what I really enjoyed. Is it Craig? He's called Craig's stream last night. He did a way better job at keeping up with chat than either of you two. Maybe because he was playing less games because he kept getting knocked out of them. I don't fucking know. Waller's doing really well, to be fair. He doesn't understand how good he is either at poker or at streaming. He hasn't got the confidence he should have. And I can't remember the other guy because he did it once and he's probably still catching up with chat. But he seemed nice enough, like.
Shout out to Alan23 if you're watching. All right, so I'm going to scan down some more. I've got some questions from Carnage here. Most of these are poker ones that we've already gone through. However, the final one is thoughts on being a stand-up comic. I mean, certainly in the Twitch streets, you do have us all fucking rolling around on the street on the sofa laughing sometimes.
I've thought about writing some for ages, but it's difficult, you know. I think if I was and I wouldn't do it, but I think I'm more an off-the-cuff sort of person. And the only thing that makes things funny is that, and I think Wallace said it the other day, I just say things other people are thinking. So I don't think I'm particularly creative. I just give less fucks. You know, I don't think I'm any funnier than the next man. The only thing that makes it slightly more noticeable is the fact that good comedy crosses lines, and I just cross lines other people won't cross. That's all it is, really. A lot of the things I say, people will have thought about saying it and then just not said it. And I think that's where we're at with that. But yeah, I do love stand-up comedy. I love it, and I'd love to be good at it. But fuck me, it takes some balls. I'd imagine that going and performing 5 minutes of stand-up comedy would be way worse than like going and singing in front of 1,000 people or something, I think. Because singing, you're just doing someone else's work out. Your comedy, it's come from you. And if you die on your ass, it's you they're rejecting, isn't it? It must be fucking terrifying.
No, I couldn't imagine anything worse. Yeah. It takes a brave man to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Ashrim, Shrimpy. We've got some quick fire ones from him then. It's like one or t'other, is by the look of things. Dancing or singing?
Singing. But singing. Shit at both. Yeah, but singing.
The next one, they're almost the same fucking thing as far as I'm concerned. Sci-fi or fantasy?
Neither. Not interested. Bullshit. Couldn't give a fuck. Star Wars, all that shit, get to fuck out of my life. I couldn't give a fuck about you.
You've just gone right down in my estimation.
I don't think I've ever watched a fantasy. I've tried to watch Star Wars and shit, can't get into it. And fantasy, I couldn't even tell you one fantasy film. I couldn't tell you the name of one. Not interested in neither.
Fair enough. Sweet or savoury?
Sweet.
Board games or video games?
Video games.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs, even though I've got a cat.
Oh,
dogs.
Not the answer I was expecting.
Good. Well, the only reason I haven't got a dog, the landlord won't let us have a dog, but we snuck a cat in and kept it for 3 years without him knowing. That's why we've got a cat. But yeah, dogs. I was brought up with dogs. I used to be into dog racing, like actually racing dogs in my area. Yeah, I love dogs. I prefer dogs to humans.
Fair enough.
You know, if I had a dog and it was like, you know, someone came to me with one of those like God questions where your dog dies, Reg, or 10 people you don't know in London die, then sorry, 10 people in London are just fucking dying. Couldn't give a fuck. Dogs are better than humans in almost every single possible way. They're just better. So yeah, dogs. But cats I like cats too, but dogs are better.
Yeah, fair enough. I'd always be like a cat man every time. I love the fact they kind of take themselves out. They normally bury their own shit. They keep themselves tidy, keep themselves to themselves. Tend to ignore you most of the time. It's much more my kind of pet. What else? Moving on, we got truth or dare. I haven't got anything to back it up with. That's just the question.
Truth all day. Yeah,
you go for the truth all day.
I find speaking the truth very easy. It's just easier than telling lies. You know, you don't have to have a good memory. If you tell the truth all the time, you don't have to remember the lies you've told, do you? So yeah, truth.
Very, very, very fair comment. Next question. Cash poker for 6 hours with whales or night in with the current wife?
Go cash poker all fucking day. But I'm stuck in with her fucking 7 nights a week as it is. The whales come along less often, don't they? So yeah, cash poker. I mean, I slag my wife. I love her to bits. She's been great for me, but yeah, I'm never going to be nice to her because I love 70s sitcoms, and you're not allowed to be nice to your wife in 70s sitcoms. So I'm not allowed to be nice to her like this. So yeah, cash games with whales all day, every day.
May I ask, how did you meet the current wife?
We met in a nightclub long years ago. Just pissed up, walked her home, total gentleman, walked her home, didn't try it on, phoned her the next day, or text her, sorry. She fucked me right off. I'm like, oh, well, never mind. Should have tried to get my fingers in at least then, shouldn't have, if I'm getting fucked off the next day. But I didn't know that at the time. I thought, well, just play it cool here, Edge, play the long game. And then about a month later, she was in the same nightclub, pissed up. She come up to me again and like, oh, you Paul Regan? I said, yeah, you know I am. And then I walked her home again behaved myself, and then when I texted the next day, she agreed to go out. We watched the world's shittest film ever. On our first date, we went to watch The Day After Tomorrow. If you haven't seen it, never watch it. I believe that was sci-fi. It was fucking rubbish. It was about fucking, there's some massive climate changing going on, and half the world fucking froze over.
Dennis Quaid has to like trek through the snow into New York at the end.
Yes.
Rescue his kids.
And then not long after that, we watched fucking Domino, which was really, really shit, and Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which was really shit. So, considering I took it 3 pretty crap films.
I like those films.
You like Domino? Fucking hell,
actually,
man.
No, I don't remember Domino, but Mr. and Mrs. Smith and the Day After Tomorrow thing. I like anything apocalyptic. Oh, like have you seen 2012? That one with John Cusack, where like the entire world like completely fucking melts.
My entire culture rests in the 80s. You know, I watch a loop, basically, the A-Team. When I finish watching that all the way through, I'll go back to Auf Wiedersehen, Pet. Then I'll watch fucking Minder, and then I'll jump into the fucking noughties because I like new tricks, but only because it's got all the old fucking actors in that I like from the 80s, like Waterman and Lyndhurst and people like that. And yeah.
Did you
I'm not into modern culture, modern music, modern TV, modern films, none of it. I'll just watch stuff I've watched a million times over again. I actually think, genuinely, since I've become aware of what autism is, I think I'm probably slightly on the spectrum because I like what I like, and if I don't like it, I'm not fucking interested. So I think I'm possibly mildly on the spectrum with stuff like that because I've no interest in listening to new music, watching new TV, you know. Not into it.
So in terms of 80s stuff, did you ever like the Karate Kid or the Karate Kid movies?
Yes. I've heard of Cobra Kai.
I was going to say, like Cobra Kai on Netflix, that might be up your street because although it is, it's set in the present day, we've got grown-up Daniel LaRusso and Johnny Lawrence, his nemesis from the first film. Basically, the pair of them are still just fucking stuck in the 80s mentally. So I'm thinking, actually, that might be a modern show you might quite like.
Yeah, it's been recommended. So, yeah, I do intend on giving that a try. I actually enjoyed watching The A-Word too, but that's mostly because Christopher Eccleston was in it, and I fucking love Christopher Eccleston. So that's like a modern-ish thing that I've watched.
Fair play. Just go back to the questions that I got here. So we did, where were we? A few more from Shrimpy then. Wine or beer?
Beer, for sure. I used to be a real fucking beer monster. I think when I was like 15, 16, I was borderline alcoholic, I think. Genuinely, that's not an exaggeration. I lived in a pub when I was 14, and then I worked an off license, and I used to just sell myself beer at the end of the shift. And yeah, I was drinking 5-6 nights a week when I was still at school. I was playing pool in a team, drinking there. Yeah, I was not good. And I kept the weight off because I was playing in sports teams. Then I got 2 hernia operations, put a load of weight on, quit sport, carried on being a proper big drinker up until and after meeting my wife, and only packed in probably maybe 10 years ago, maybe 9-10 years ago, and it was just because the hangovers got too much. And I think I've got type 2 diabetes now. I suspect I had it for years, didn't know, and that's why the hangovers felt so bad. I think it was as much the diabetes as anything, but now I don't bother with drink. I enjoy a drink now, and if I go to a function, I'll have a nice drink, but I won't drink randomly. If you invite me to a wedding, I fucking love a good wake. I adore a good funeral, me. So something like that, I'll go and get pissed up with the best. Got a funny story about a funeral. Sorry, I'm diverging. But at a funeral, our old pool captain, he died a couple of years ago, and I seen a couple of friends, that I hadn't seen in years, so just a couple of years younger than me. And we were talking, and we've all got, like, two of us have got grown-up kids now, and this lad, his kid's 14. And he said, he thinks he doesn't know what I'm fucking doing. He'll take the iPad to the bog, he'll be gone 20 minutes, obviously knocking a wank out on the bog or whatever. And then my older mate, I'm not going to say his name, he was like, oh yeah, fucking, I like having a wank with the fucking iPad and stuff. So I've asked the obvious question. But remember, in a wake in the pub, it's relatively noisy. And I said to him, I don't get it. Like, how'd you have a wank with an iPad? And then, as I said, like, how do you catch the spunk? Because you got your iPad in one hand, your cock in the other. How do you catch it? As I said, how do you catch the spunk? The pub fucking dropped into silence, and every cunt heard me and looked at me. And then my other mate went fucking blood red and fucked off to the toilet for a piss very quickly. And then after a few seconds, everyone just carried on chatting again. And apparently he just lays on a towel and spunks on a towel. So there you go. I now know how to wank on an iPad. And then, yeah, I made a complete cunt of myself at a funeral. But they all knew me, and they know the sort of person I am. So yeah, only I can say, how do you catch the spunk at a wake and have everyone go quiet the very second that they delivered it? So yeah, there you go.
Wonderful. Well, I mean, at least we've learned something as well about, So the educational stream, guys, educational stream. Love it. There's two more from Shrimpy's sort of quickfire ones. I don't really understand the point of this question, but shower in the morning or shower in the evening?
Just whenever it's most convenient.
Right.
I don't have a specific routine. If I'm up early enough, crack on. If I'm not, then later on.
And finally from him, boobs or bum?
Oh, boobs all day.
Absolutely.
All day. You shit out of bums. Why this poo comes out of them. I'm not interested in bums. Not that. I don't mind Oh, I've got another funny story about bums. My wife,
of course you do.
She used to work in the co-op in Dalton, and there's a girl that worked there, very similar stature to her, same size, same sort of body shape, same colour dyed hair. And I walked down an aisle, and I thought my wife was bent over, stocking a shelf. So I walked up and I gave her the most almighty slap on the arse that really stung my hand, only to discover it wasn't my wife, it was her colleague. And then they all watched it on CCTV and had a good laugh at my expense. The woman turned around, what was that? And she looked at me, and fortunately, the shock on my face, she realised obviously the mistake I'd made. But yeah, I just slapped someone's ass very hard in a shop who I had no relationship with before that day. So yeah, but not bums, it's definitely boobs.
Sorry, by the way, I missed a recent donation and a shout out to another $5 coming in from PKR Par saying, could listen all night, shame about the 11 p.m. sex time slot.
Thank you very much. No, it's not sex time. She'll be off to bed and I'll be on the fucking app grind. I'll only be grinding the apps tonight. Won't be grinding the missus. Not a chance. Not on the Monday night. It's a Sunday afternoon job.
Lovely. Right. So back to these forum questions. We're getting towards the end of them now. But cash game power rankings, please, from Angmar. We've done that. Enoch, this might be slightly different from that. Enoch saying, who are the poker players you respect the most?
The cash game grinders, the ones who get out there and do it on the cash streets and have been doing it for years, the ones who've been around for a while. At the modern lot, probably people like Haxton. Yeah. The guy I mentioned earlier, the one who's a commentary, forgot his name now.
I can't remember either, to be honest with you.
We talked about him earlier. Yeah. And then some of the old school guy, Brunson. I mean, yeah, he's a fucking old racist, but how can you not respect him? He's made a living out of the game for years, and he's a fucking consummate bum hunter. I know you noticed yesterday, Greenstein, he's shit now, but back in the day, he just did it. He did it the way I think it needs to be done. He just got in there against shit players, didn't really gamble with them, and got the money anyway. Just people who've been around a long time playing cash games. If you're here today, gone tomorrow, tournament players couldn't give a fuck. That your Greg Merson's of the world. I believe he still does all right at cash, but people like him or that other boring cunt who won the fucking main event a few years ago, you think you're not going to grind out on the bubble. Can't remember his fucking name either because he's not important to me. But yeah, not tournament players, not interested in tournament players. But yeah, cash game grinders who've just been doing it a long time. Fair
enough. Well, you've kind of sort of started answering Enoch's next question then, which was the poker players you dislike the most and reasons.
Doug Polk. Fucking despise him. He can go to hell in a handcart, that horrible cunt. A very, 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 very good poker teacher. Absolute arse of a drama queen. And I could kick you till my fucking foot fell off. I know you don't like Negreanu. I'm not a massive fan of Negreanu, but Polk's he's just a prick. He's made a living off the back of Negreanu for the last 5 years just by being a cunt to him. I don't like that. And when that time they played that high roller, and he took his fucking t-shirt with a more rake, he's better with that smug look on his face. And I picked up the nearest thing to me and wrapped it around his fucking skull. A horrible cunt. He'd have fucking deserved it as well. Because just what a fucking... It's typical of that fucking asshole generation who just want to be able to say whatever they want to any cunt they want and not expect to get a fucking knuckle sandwich. I can't believe if he'd have done that fucking 30 years ago, someone like Sam Grizzle would have fucking ripped him a new ass and kicked him all over fucking town. And now he can just do all that shit with impunity, knowing no one's going to lift a fucking finger to you. If one cunt needs a good kicking in poker, it's Doug fucking Polk. And I'm happy to be the man to fucking stand up in line to be fucking first one to try and deliver it because he's a cunt.
Wonderful. So I assume you're rooting for D-Negs when they have their, well, assuming it does happen, their heads-up match.
I couldn't give a fuck about the game. I hope D-Negs wins because I just don't want Polk. I'd like Polk to fucking not make the money he's expecting to make from me. So I'd like to see Polk fail. Sadly, that means Negreanu doesn't fail. But, you know, couldn't give a fuck about either of them. With a bit of luck, you know, the fucking...
Would Dead Heat be your ideal then, money-wise?
Just dead. Just dead.
Just dead.
Yeah, just dead.
Unfortunate electrical accident at either end.
Yeah, it doesn't fucking matter what it is. Just fucking someone rob them, shoot them both, and fucking crack them. In fact, no, don't kill them. Just leave them fucking chronically disabled from the neck down, so they've got to live in fucking purgatory for the next fucking 40 years. Death's too good for them. Fuck them.
Don't hold back, Reg, all right? Don't hold back.
And that player was, Loose Camel said Joe Cadder. No, it was Joe McKeon, another boring cunt who won a fucking World Series. He can fuck off and all. Right. Yeah.
Shout out to something, by the way. He was playing his first ever 1K over the weekend online. Came 6th for 16K. So,
very nice, sir.
Shout out to you, mate. Shout out to you. Well done. Genuinely pleased for you.
Normally, I don't give a fuck about people being successful. Couldn't give the flyingest of fucks. I was a guy who was in the bookies. If I wasn't winning, I wanted my mates to lose as well. I was that guy. I could take no pleasure from other people's victories, but when I see people like Something who are out there fucking doing it, getting their hands dirty, grinding, it is nice to see them, you know, get the score. Because he's out there, he's taking shots I've never had the balls to take. So fucking hats off to you, kid.
Good stuff. Congrats, Something. Well done. It's probably bittersweet, isn't it? Always, getting like yay far. I know there was 80k up top, but pretty nice score. So moving on to the questions from Enoch. What are your 5 favourite swear words in order of obscenity, least to worst?
I just got one favourite, cunt. You know, because it's a one that non-swearers hate the most. The rest are just whatever. They're nothing compared to cunt, are they? I mean, cunt's exceptional. You know, fuck, piss, shit, bastard. They're very tame by comparison. You know,
they are. Cunt is special.
Yeah, cunt's different gravy. And if there was a better one than cunt, I'd start using it. But at the minute there isn't. It's the best we've got to work with.
All right. I see what he's doing here. Okay, so we've got that question. His next question was then, how loudly can you shout? Followed by, please combine the above.
No, that won't be happening. I have neighbours and I have a wife downstairs who doesn't need me bellowing cunt at the top of my voice, so I'm afraid not.
Well, what a blessed relief for us all. A question you may or may not want to answer. How many Mrs. Dons have there been? I think it's because you always refer to your current wife, so there's only ever been one Mrs. Don.
Just the one, yep.
Yeah. What did you do with their bodies was his follow-up question.
Not enough, because they're still fucking on this planet, so not as much as I perhaps could or should have done.
Indeed. Cool. That gets me to the end of that little sort of question there, that set of questions. Where are we? We're rapidly approaching 11 o'clock. We've got 7 minutes to. Chat, get it in there now. Well, 2 things get it in there now. One, get any donations you may still want to make in there now. We haven't, you guys have been fucking awesome. I don't expect another penny from you. Hats off to and massive thanks to everyone who has donated. But we're going to be wrapping up pretty soon. If you did still want to do something now, having said that, after the event, most of you will know one way or t'other to find Reggie. Worst case scenario, give me a whisper, and I can point you in his direction if you want to make a donation of any kind further down the line. All right, so I'm going to go with a few sort of other. So anyway, yeah, get any questions in you want now in the chat. Yeah, Magic says any poker regrets, and also best poker moment.
Not making more of it back in the day, without question. There was, looking back now, it's too late now. From like 06 to 11, you know, if I'd have put my mind to it, I probably could have made a lot of money, but I didn't, and I'm not the only one in that boat. There's probably thousands. I just thought it would go on forever, and it didn't. Did it? It got massively fucked up. So yeah, not taking it seriously enough early enough. Best poker moment, I think it's probably when I won a tournament in Bolton, only for £1,000, but I won the tournament, and it's winning live always feels way better than winning online. I've won more online, but yeah, winning live is really nice. Or even like my mate's pool hall, I won their first and only annual poker tournament because it went broke the year after and fucking closed. Yeah, I won that, like the first one. And so the recognition as like being probably one of the better local players and beating the local scumbag drug dealer heads up for the win. That was nice too. So yeah, live poker stuff. Getting the win live, it's always nicer.
Fantastic. Loose Camel, thank you, mate. Another fiver in the kitty. And once again, thank you to you all. I've been, when we started this, I've got too many to add up now while we're live. But I'm going to have a tot up and update the forum and just say, look, thank you guys. You know, this is where we finished on the night. I've genuinely been stunned by all of you. I kind of thought, you know, doing this, Reg, you know, if it goes well, we might get like 50, 60 quid in from anyone watching. We've like surpassed that several times over. And
yeah, I'm proper made up with it. I'm pleased I've done it. I'm pleased people seem to have enjoyed it. It's not been anywhere near as fucking spine toe curling as I thought it would be. And yeah, everyone that has donated, thank you. It's been fucking brilliant. I suspect by the time, because I'll get some donation on Facebook, I'm going to smash through the amount I thought I was going to raise. I'm fucking delighted, genuinely delighted. And when I do donate the money, I will provide evidence to Duesenberg to provide to you guys that it did go when it was meant to go, because I'm aware there's a lot of trust being put in me here, and I'll make sure that there's evidence about me handing the money over to the guy with a Leonard Cheshire t-shirt on, etc. And maybe I'll get him to email me with some confirmation too, which I'll pass on to you so you can share that with your community.
Absolutely. And I'll be, whatever you guys have donated, I'll be sticking 50 quid on top. I'm going to do a bit as well. But yeah, honestly, all of you guys, you fucking blown me away. Like way more than I expected. And also, I want to say a real big thank you to Reg as well, because he was saying this earlier, but he was genuinely self-conscious about coming on here. Like when I first started badgering him to come on the stream, because I thought he'd be great to talk to, great to have on, which he has been. He was self-conscious. He didn't like the idea of, this big old, his big old face, quite as large as it is on your screens right now. And I know it's taken quite something to get him to come on and do this. So the charity element aside, I do want to say genuinely thank you and hats off to Reg for doing this and coming on. I also know, I think kind of in some ways I got the impression that to sort of build yourself up to perhaps coming around with the idea of doing this, you'd started adding a webcam onto your YouTube videos. And from a viewer's perspective, it's been nice for me watching your videos with your face on there. And I would say that I think, you've done really well. You've built an audience, you've built a community through that. But I think I'd encourage you to continue on that vein, because I think when you see the person, you somehow, even though you're only watching, you connect with them a little bit more. And you're nowhere near as ugly as I expected. But hats off to you, Reg, for coming on. I mean, look, we're like pretty much.
Thank you for giving me the platform. Really, for the charity. Thank you very much. I love trolling you. I love making out you're the bell end, but you are one of the good guys in the game, aren't you? So thank you for that, sir. Much appreciated.
Oh,
I do reserve the right to continue abusing you, though. That's mandatory.
I would not have it any other way. And
I had to close Discord last night because you got the last good one-liner in and I couldn't come back to it, so I just fucking closed it.
I know. I did wonder because I thought, he hasn't said anything. I couldn't work out if I can't even remember what I'd said, but occasionally I have moments of thinking, have I gone a bit too far this time? Have I been too big a cunt?
I just know when I'm beat, so I was like, "That I'm fucking out of here now. I'm beat. Let's just fucking leave it there." The lad's won. I'm defeated, so I'm just going to go out honourably by just not responding.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad to know that I haven't actually genuinely upset you, and I will continue to call you a fat cunt amongst many other horrible things because you wouldn't want it any other way. I don't think.
By the way, can we just draw attention to your fucking burger on your t-shirt? That's a nice troll. That is a nice troll.
Yeah. This actually is a slightly intentional troll. Reg has been.
What's the red thing?
That's a bottle of ketchup.
Right, okay.
And the speech bubble just says, "Yes, I'm amazing" for some reason. I don't know, just some random t-shirt I saw and bought when shopping once. But yeah, I'm slightly trolling Reg here with the old burger on the t-shirt in his face at all times because he has been dieting recently. I keep being horrible to him saying, have you had a nice milkshake today, mate? What flavour did you have today?
The dieting's gone tits up. I haven't been dieting for 2 weeks now, but yeah, never mind. Someone's got to kill you. May as well be type 2 or just heart attacks, mate. And heart attack's not a bad way to go, I suppose. It's pretty quick, isn't it? Bang, just drop.
True.
I'd take that. Get me to 65, and if you want to drop me with an heart attack, fair dues. I'll take that,
It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because my diet is shit. Fortunately, I haven't I've got a bit of a belly, but I haven't massively piled on the pounds as yet. But I do kind of take the view, what would I, would I rather eat super, super healthy, but stuff that I'm a bit meh about most of the time and live till I was 90? Or would I rather stuff my face with shit as much as I like and, kill over the heart attack at 70, 75 or what have you? It's like, which way do you go with it? It's all very well having a long life, but you've got to fucking enjoy yourself.
About having a healthy life. If you had an extra 20 years in your 20s and 30s, fuck me, I'm up for it. But you don't. You get them in your 80s and 90s. When no cunt wants you, they're all waiting for you to fucking die so they can chop up your estate, and you're pissing yourself. And I don't want that, I just don't fucking want it. I don't want my daughter to have to fucking shake me cock for me. I don't want any of that stuff going on, The minute I can't take care of myself, just fucking drop me off and I'll go somewhere else, and leave it there. I used to say that I'd rather have 65 years living like George Best than fucking 90 living like the Pope, but I've never lived like George Best, so I can't be that accurate. But yeah, we're not here for a long time. We're here for a good time, aren't we? That's what I try and do.
No, absolutely. I've said this on stream before. My father has one thing he repeatedly says to me, and I do like it. And he at least once a week when I talk to him, it's like, son, you only get one run round the track. And it's like, it's a fucking good point. Enjoy yourself and make the most of it.
Every story you told me about your dad makes me think I'd fucking like him. Your stepdad, no, he can get in the bin. But your actual dad, fucking bang. I'm bang up for your actual dad. He seems like a pretty cool dude. And he's produced you, so he can't be too bad, can he?
Well, there is one thing you wouldn't like about him. He gets a fucking raging hard on for Maggie Thatcher. He thinks she's the fucking bee's knees.
A lot of that generation didn't they? They can't be held responsible for fucking shit like that, can they?
I'll forget. He's in his mid-80s now. They don't know any better.
There's one last one. Views on COVID in 60 seconds. I couldn't do it in 6 seconds, I don't think. But basically, my views are: if you don't take it seriously, you're an absolute fucking bell end. I'm come from the left of it, saying save lives, fuck money, get the money off the rich cunts. Jeff Bezos, Zuckerberg, they've all increased their net worth by countless billions. Fucking get some of it off them. Let people stay at home. Let this fucking thing blow over and get back to normal next fucking year. And if you don't want to wear a mask and be responsible, fair enough. You might not die, but my man might. So fuck off and just do your best to try and fucking contain it where you can. I think there's a lot of. I used to despise Piers Morgan, but he's become like a champion of mine in the last fucking. I don't like what he's doing to Harry and Meghan Markle. I think he's getting a lot of fucking clicks out of that and a lot of money out of basically abusing them. But over COVID, he's just right all the time in my opinion. And there's a lot of pricks out there who don't take it seriously enough, and they're to blame for why if they don't take it serious, we're going to have more and more restrictions. If they actually took it seriously earlier, we wouldn't be having the restrictions we're having now. It's been a self-fulfilling prophecy, I'm afraid, for the fucking fuckwits that have, as usual, ruined it for the fucking rest of us. The country who voted Brexit fucking ruined it. The country who voted Tory ruined it. And the country who won't wear a mask fucking ruined it. They're all cunts, and that's why I prefer dogs in general. Because dogs would wear a mask. Dogs are fine.
What a fantastic way to end the podcast. Everyone's a cunt. Dogs are far better.
Yeah, but that's right. That's genuinely believe that. I believe most of humanity are cunts, and they just spend their lives trying to not look like cunts. It's like Kevin Bridges once said, you go on Facebook, you realise you fucking hate your auntie. Well, I've started realising I hate most of the people that have classed as friends for the last fucking 30 years. There's a lot of fucking wankers out there, and I'm probably one of them, but I don't think I am.
Nick Mack here. The world needs more Reggies. I couldn't agree more. Right, guys, we're going to wrap it up there because it's time for Reggie's current wife to get some shut-eye and for him to shut up and stop annoying her. So I want to say once again, massive thanks to Reg for doing this and for coming on. It's been for a great cause. Massive thanks to all of you guys who've contributed, even if that's just from watching, getting involved in the chat. Hugely appreciated. You've blown us both away with your generosity this evening. Like I say, there's too many individual ones for me to like tot up right now. I need like 10 minutes with the calculator. I'll let you all know like what the grand total was. It's all going to go to a great cause. Don't forget to follow me if you want to see, if anyone's lurking who hasn't, follow me and all of that kind of jazz. I will be back on Wednesday when I'm resuming my attempts to beat Waller to taking down an MTT and getting to sticking me in fancy dress. I'll be making sure that I make lots of really small bet sizes against fish to truly piss off Reggie. I'll probably skip the beer and just go straight onto the whiskey as well to really give him the needle. So yeah, I'll be back on Wednesday. 99% sure it'll be 6:30, my usual kickoff time. Also, by the way, this will be going up on YouTube for any late arrivals. That'll be up on there in a day or two. If you're watching on YouTube, do please feel free to hit subscribe. I'm now sort of getting my average video production rate on YouTube down to something like 1 every 15 years. So I'm getting prolific. Hit subscribe. You don't want to miss those. And once again, thank you to you all. Hendrick62, thank you for the follow. And on that note, Reg, say goodnight to everyone.
Cheers, buddy. Thanks, everyone. Thanks to you as well, buddy, for giving me the platform. Really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Stay safe, everyone. Take care. And is that what they do, the cool kids these days?
Oh, mate, you look just like Gareth Bale celebrating a goal.
Well, probably better looking, but never mind. Yeah.
It's perfect. Right,
Super,
stay on the line.
honestly.
Stay on the line for a second, mate,
mate.
and I'll catch up with you just after this. But to everyone else, thank you so much. It's been a blast. And until next time, take care all.